Brrr, it's freezing cold. Who's tugging my blanket off? A strange wriggling sensation surrounded him. Lin Han pried his eyes open, irritated. He saw a group of women in swimsuits clinging tightly to him, huddling close to share warmth. Whoa! Lin Wire, Zhao Mingyao, Su Qian, Zhou Ruodong, you guys are all here. Recognizing their faces, Lin Han jolted in shock. These women were all top models he'd shot for Huanyu Entertainment last week, every single one of them. Lin Han, we somehow got teleported into a survival game, one of them called out. Deadly blizzards are chasing us non-stop, and terrifying monsters attack on sight. The only way to stay alive is to gather materials and keep upgrading our vehicle. You were the last to wake up, so you missed the official game announcement. At the sound of his voice, the women pulled back. Once the room quieted, a tall woman with a high ponytail, fair skin, and long legs spoke to explain everything. Senior Shun, I didn't expect you'd be here too. Listening to her voice, Lin Han realized there were 5 women huddled with him, not 4. Shen Xingyi, his university senior and the most beautiful student in the Chinese literature department, was among them. She had delicate features and a statuesque frame, standing 178 centimeters tall, her sleek black hair tied high. The dark green swimsuit accentuated her pale skin and elegant figure, though her frame was slighter on top. Senior, is this some hidden prank variety show? Where are the cameras? Lin Han frowned. He found it far easier to believe this was a stage program than that he, a low-budget photographer, was trapped in a deadly survival game with supermodels. This is no show. The world outside can kill us at any moment. We have to keep upgrading and speeding up our vehicle to survive, a sweet-faced girl said through gritted teeth, yanking back the carriage curtain. Lin Han recognized her as Lin Wire. She was Huanyu Entertainment's most popular model. She hadn't spared him a glance during their photoshoot days. Through the window, bitter winds howled and snow swirled endlessly, burying the entire landscape under thick ice. Dark storm clouds loomed on the horizon, a tangible mass of freezing tempest closing in, suffocating to behold. A bolt of lightning split the sky, illuminating the wasteland. Lin Han witnessed a haunting sight. Hordes of monstrous creatures darted through the snow, relentlessly pursuing their train. We're trapped surviving against monsters and an endless freeze. This is exactly the plot of that global transmigration survival novel I read to kill time. Lin Han finally accepted their story. So our upgradable vehicle is this train? Is anyone manning the controls? Without waiting for the women to reply, he strode toward the driver's cabin and pushed open the door. Inside sat only a control console. The train ran on autopilot. Wait a second. So right now, it's just one man and 5 women stuck together on this train? Lin Han's brows knit tight after processing everything. Is sharing this survival journey with us such a burden? Shen Qingyi teased. We're all top-tier beauties, after all. Lin Han rubbed his temples with a headache. Though stunningly attractive, these models had ignored him completely back in the real world. And every last one of them was spoiled and unaccustomed to hardship. Trying to survive monster attacks and deadly blizzards alongside them felt like hauling a team of liabilities. I wish I had a system like the protagonists in those novels, Lin Han muttered to himself. If he had a game-like system backing him, he might actually stand a chance of keeping the group alive. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The Universal Companion Blessing Multiplier System has awakened. A system, even without full transmigration? Lin Han's heart leaped with joy. Host, this system grants multiplied survival boons based on your companion's overall aptitude ratings. It ranges from a minimum 10x boost up to a maximum 10,000x critical reward bonus. New player quest unlocked. Form a trusted core partnership with a companion rated 80 or higher to claim a complete beginner survival supply pack. Lin Han stared blankly. This system's mechanics leaned heavily on bonding closely with his teammates, which struck him as rather unorthodox. Suddenly, shrill alarm blares erupted from the train's control panel, red lights flashing frantically. Why is our speed dropping? Look, the fuel gauge is only at 10%. Panic swept over the models. Their composed, icy demeanors from the photoshoots vanished instantly. Some teared up, voices trembling with fear. Lin Han's head throbbed again. Outside lay an unforgiving frozen wasteland, and the women only wore thin swimsuits. Stepping off the train would mean instant hypothermia and death. This was a team survival game. He couldn't let any of them perish if they wanted to progress and upgrade later. They all needed to stay alive to gather resources together. I have something important to tell all of you, he announced. Believe it or not, I just awakened a special ability system called the Universal Companion Blessing Multiplier System. Its first task requires me to build a solid trusted bond with one of you to unlock vital survival supplies. Who's willing to partner with me first to complete this quest? He decided to lay all his cards on the table, no more holding back. He let them judge for themselves. Silence crashed over the driver's cabin. The 5 women froze, all eyes locked firmly on Lin Han. Forget it if you don't buy it. Lin Han shrugged helplessly. Back in reality, these elite supermodels had barely acknowledged his existence as a low-rank cameraman. He hadn't expected any of them to volunteer to team up with him for this risky system quest. To his complete surprise, Lin Wire reacted first. Her voice was shaking with excitement. A system? That means we have a way to survive. Her delicate, sweet face flushed bright red as she clutched her swimsuit fabric, dropping a casual curse. Nothing like her usual cold, aloof persona. If this partnership unlocks life-saving supplies, I'm willing to step forward as long as we stay respectful and mindful of boundaries, Zhao Mingyao added. She possessed the curviest figure among the 5 models. Lin Han's actually really handsome when you look close. Now that I think about it, he's got such attractive features, Su Qian and Zhou Ruodong chimed in, sizing him up with eager, hopeful eyes. Lin Han stood dumbfounded. Wait, you all believe me that easily? He'd thought they'd dismiss the idea outright. You look shocked, little junior, Shen Qingyi said, the only woman remaining calm and collected, as if calculating every variable. These girls all read those survival web novels in their free time. Besides, we've already been dragged into a real-life survival game with teleportation. Why would a system be impossible? Fair point, Lin Han sighed. So who's going to team up with me first to finish the quest? He hadn't imagined the women would start arguing over who got to partner with him first. Each convinced the system would grant better starting blessings to the first companion. Their soft bickering tangled with the train's wailing alarms inside the tiny cabin. It left Lin Han disoriented. This hardly felt like a fight for your life survival scenario. Stop arguing. I'll go first, Shen Qingyi spoke up abruptly. She stepped forward to stand directly in front of him. At 178 centimeters tall, their eyes met almost level, the dark green swimsuit highlighting her sleek collarbones and graceful neckline. Senior Qingyi, you're volunteering? Lin Wire gaped, stunned to see the normally distant, unapproachable Shen Qingyi step forward. Are you planning to fight me over this critical chance at survival? Shen Qingyi cut her off sharply. Blizzards and monsters are closing in by the minute. We don't have time for petty squabbles. Lin Han's system is our only lifeline. The rest of you wait in the rear carriage. Her icy gaze swept across the 4 models, her tone leaving no room for argument, and everyone knew she meant every word. Defeated, the 4 supermodels exchanged glances and filed out of the driver's cabin. The cabin door clicked shut, leaving only the 2 of them. The air grew thick with quiet tension. Senior, are you absolutely sure you want to do this? Lin Han's hands trembled faintly with emotion. Shen Qingyi had been his campus crush all through university. She was the most sought-after woman in the Chinese literature department. Captain of the archery team, with a line of suitors stretching from the north to south campus gates. Every male student on campus had admired her from afar, himself included. Yet she'd never once given any admirer the time of day. After graduation, she joined Huangyu Entertainment as an agent, famous for her cold, single-minded work ethic with 0 romantic attachments. Now she was volunteering to be his first system partner. Cut the small talk, Shen Qingyi said briskly. Do I meet the rating threshold to complete this partnership quest? Name, Shen Qingyi rating, 91. A glowing score tag floated above her head as Lin Han focused on her. You're more than qualified. A faint pink tint spread across Shen Qingyi's ears as she glanced away. Time is limited. Will 20 minutes be enough to finish bonding and trigger the system reward? No matter how calm and assertive she was, she couldn't fully mask her nervousness facing such an unfamiliar, high-stakes partnership. Watching her stiff, composed act, Lin Han took off his down jacket and laid it over the cabin seat for her. Shen Qingyi blinked, turning to face him. It'll be softer this way. I'll work quickly to unlock the supplies. She settled onto the padded jacket, biting her lip and murmuring a quiet, thank you. The driver's cabin was cramped, making their teamwork awkward at points as the train rattled rhythmically along the tracks. In this frozen, desolate world, the tiny cabin became a pocket of warmth amid endless ice and wind. After some time passed, a chime echoed inside Lin Han's mind. Ding! Congratulations, host. Shen Qingyi has become your official core companion. Your partner Shen Qingyi has received permanent survival blessing, minor frost resistance, cold environmental tolerance, increased by 30. Complete Extreme Cold Survival Starter Pack X1 has been issued. Please claim it. Shen Qingyi jolted upright, sensing a shift in her body. Lin Han, I heard a system voice too. It said I received a companion blessing. The cold air doesn't bite nearly as hard anymore. I told you I wasn't lying. Lin Han pulled her into a gentle hug. System, open the starter pack. Starter pack unlocked successfully. Ding. Host has received the following rewards. Reward 1. 3 minor innate talents. Dulled pain sensation, base stat doubling, resource seed enhancement. Lin Han's eyes widened at the 3 instant talents, immediately pulling up their descriptions. Dulled pain sensation minor. All injury pain reduced by 30. Base stat doubling minor. All physical and mental baseline attributes permanently doubled. Resource seed enhancement minor. All cultivated seed yields boosted by 10, effective for all organic flora in this world. Reading through the details, Lin Han thought the first 2 talents were invaluable for surviving the frozen wasteland and monster encounters. The third only marginally boosted crop yields, but if upgraded to full potency, it would unlock an endless stream of survival materials. System, is that all the starter pack gives? I could use more tangible gear. If the others freeze to death out there, we'll have no teammates to gather resources with, Lin Han thought silently to himself. Ding. Secondary reward batch deploying now. Host has obtained the following supplies. Full polar cold-proof suit set X 6 thermal base layers, insulated parkas, snow boots, gloves, anti-glare goggles included too. High-energy fuel block X1 refills the train fuel tank to maximum capacity. Multifunctional survival kit X1 entrenching shovel, climbing rope, first aid supplies, flint and steel, etc. 4. Fire axe X1, 100 damage bonus when landing headshots on frost monsters. 5. Weapon, Frost Hunting Crossbow X1, 30 damage boost against cold-adapted beasts. Comes with 20 crossbow bolts total. Soft white light flooded the empty floor space of the cabin, fading to reveal neatly stacked piles of supplies. 6 thick insulated suits, a pale blue glowing fuel block, a bulging utility pack, a long-handled fire axe, and a silver crossbow shimmering with frost runes. Every item was perfectly suited for their deadly frozen environment. Lin Han cheered inwardly at the system's generous rewards. Go fetch the others inside. They're freezing out back, he said, grabbing one cold-proof suit to help Xinqing dress. Don't forget to refill the fuel tank first, Xinqing reminded him. Lin Han nodded, picking up the fuel block and tossing it into the train's fuel reservoir. The gauge shot instantly from 10 to 100, and the blaring alarms cut off entirely. Once Xinqing was fully bundled in her winter gear, Lin Han opened the cabin door. The 4 models huddled shivering in the rear carriage, teeth chattering. The moment the door swung open and they spotted the supplies, they rushed into the cabin in excitement. These supplies are absolutely game-changing. Lin Wire stared at Lin Han in awe after wrapping herself head to toe in the insulated suit. If you'd taken 5 minutes longer, we would have been forced off the train mid-blizzard. Wait, you said 20 minutes would suffice for the bonding ritual earlier. Xinqing shot him a confused look. At that exact moment, a cold, automated broadcast echoed through the driver's cabin speakers. Attention, all passengers. Your train will arrive at Tundra Town Station in 5 minutes. Warning. The tide of monsters chasing your vehicle will catch up in exactly 1 hour. Gather every resource possible to upgrade your transport, or face certain death. A translucent material upgrade chart materialized on the cabin wall, visible to every person present. Requirements to upgrade train to Tier 2 vehicle. Tier 2 Blueprint X1, Lumber X30, Stone X30, Refined Iron Ingot X20, Monster Core X3. We only have 1 hour to collect all these materials. Panic rippled through the group, the relief from the system supplies vanishing instantly. We can pull this off if we split our tasks into primary and secondary objectives. Xinqing clapped her hands. She calmed the anxious women. Our fuel tank is full now, so we don't have to rush back early. I understand needing a Tier 2 blueprint, but monster cores, that means the town is swarming with hostile creatures. Lin Han frowned. Monsters? The women's fleeting joy dissolved completely. They'd seen the towering, grotesque beasts darting through the snow during the lightning strike earlier. Creatures no ordinary human could fight off easily. Even with Lin Han around, protecting a group of physically weak women against hordes of monsters felt like an impossible fight. A death sentence waiting to happen. Stay calm. We aren't defenseless. Lin Han bent to grab the fire axe. He handed the frost crossbow to Xinqing. You were archery team captain back in university. Senior, this crossbow belongs to you. When we reach the station, you and I will head out first as front guards, and the rest follow close behind us. Lin Han offered the women a reassuring smile. His double base stats granted him superhuman strength, enough to overpower 3 or 4 grown men single-handedly. He had no intention of splitting their small party into separate vulnerable squads. He would lead the entire group to explore the town together. After all, this was a team survival game, a world that could snatch their lives away at any moment. Splitting up was the worst possible move before figuring out Tundra Town. A few minutes later, with a loud clang, the train began to slow, preparing to pull into the station. Lin Han, Shen Qingyi, and the group of girls all zipped up and down Parkas waited by the carriage door as planned. Once the train came to a complete stop, Lin Han stepped forward, yanked the door open, and strode out onto the platform. Dawn was just breaking. Though they had no flashlights, human eyes could already make out most objects clearly. Watch out! Before Lin Han could scan his surroundings, Shen Qingyi's urgent warning rang out from behind him. A twisted black shadow lunged straight at him from the left, moving with terrifying speed and reeking of rot. Damn it! Lin Han never expected an attack the second they stepped off the train. With his stats doubled, he lifted his fire axe and swung it hard. The shadow was inches from tackling Lin Han when a thunderous crash sent it flying. It slammed brutally against the station wall. Lin Han spun his head around and saw a humanoid creature covered in rotting flesh. Its appearance was grotesque. Most of the facial muscle had sloughed off, exposing bleached white bone. Its eye sockets writhed with maggots, and its gaping mouth oozed sticky yellow-green pus above rows of dark brown teeth. Right then, a low hum echoed. A silver crossbow bolt pierced its forehead, pinning its entire skull to the concrete pillar. Only its limbs twitched weakly. Shen Qingyi had seized the opening to deliver the finishing blow. Is this a zombie? Taking in the creature's horrific form, Lin Han gasped, cold sweat prickling down his spine. A zombie? The kind from movies that bites people to spread an infection? It looks similar, but this one's far too fast. If Qingyi hadn't shot it just now, Lin Han would have gotten bitten. This stop is way too dangerous. The girl's murmurs grew louder with fear. Lin Wire clamped a hand over her mouth. Zhao Mingyao's face drained of all color. Su Qian and Zhou Ruodong clung tightly to each other's sleeves, none daring to step 1 foot off the train. Keep your voices down. I suspect there's more than one monster here. Shen Qingyi held her crossbow raised, warning the former models sharply. She feared their panicked screams would draw more creatures and put the whole group in mortal danger. Besides, station rules forbade anyone staying aboard the train during stops. I'll check if it has a core. Lin Han forced himself to calm down and walked toward the twitching monster with his fire axe. He couldn't afford to be careless. In every film and show, virus-altered zombies were far stronger than ordinary humans. And up close, this thing was even more revolting. Its limbs were elongated, joints bent at unnatural angles that defied human anatomy. No trace of its former humanity remained on its face. But what made Lin Han's eyes light up was its chest. A jagged crack split the torso, and embedded within it was a gray-blue crystal. Undoubtedly, the monster core needed to upgrade their train. This must be the monster core. He knelt, pried the crystal loose with the flat back of his axe, swallowing his nausea, and stuffed the core into the pocket of his thermal coat. Let's move on. We don't have much time at this stop. We can't linger here. Lin Han stood, unwilling to waste another second. As they walked forward, Lin Han lowered his voice to speak. Senior, having you with me in this wasteland makes surviving so much easier. If Shen Qingyi hadn't shouted her warning just now, his throat would have been torn open. Her precise, quick finishing shot also marked her as incredibly skilled, an irreplaceable teammate in this deadly world. You're the first person I've trusted completely, and I'll stand by your side no matter what. Shen Qingyi paused mid-step and replied. Lin Han said nothing, but silently resolved within himself that he would do everything possible to lead all these women to survive. They followed the platform outward, and the landscape only grew bleaker. Ruined buildings stretched everywhere, many reduced to crumbling walls with rusted steel rebar poking through. Frost had split stone masonry, roofs caved in, and only broken furniture jutted out from beneath deep snow. This was Tundra Town, hardly a proper town, more a collection of building ruins half buried under ice and snow. According to the station announcement, we have 1 hour to scavenge supplies. Lin Han scanned the area and spoke in a hushed tone. We need lumber, stone, refined iron ingots, and 3 monster cores. We already have 1, so we still need 2 more. His words trailed off. A pack of zombies wandered aimlessly not far from their group. Confirming their earlier suspicion, there were countless monsters roaming here. We'll focus on gathering materials first. We can hunt for extra cores later. Follow me into this building. It's 2 stories tall with relatively intact walls. The upper floor will give us a clear vantage point to map out the area. Lin Han pointed to a 2-story structure to their right, planning to secure a temporary staging ground first. Stay close, don't fall behind, and stay silent. The four girls nodded rapidly, like chicks pecking grain. The ground floor of the building had once been a fruit shop. Shelves lay toppled across the floor. All fruit long frozen solid and inedible, scattered across the tiles. Lin Han swept the room quickly, found nothing usable, and led the way up the stairs. The second floor was more open, most window panes shattered, frigid wind whipping through the empty frames. From this height, nearly half the streets of Tundra Town spread out before them, and the sight made every single person draw a shocked breath. Dozens of zombies shuffled back and forth without purpose. They'd been unbelievably lucky to avoid being swarmed. If they'd drawn the horde, none of them would have made it out alive. So many zombies. Lin Wire's voice trembled as she squeezed Zhao Mingyao's arm. She'd never imagined the world outside the train would be this terrifying. We can circle around them. The creatures seemed to cluster heavily around the central square, growing sparser toward the town's outer edges. Lin Han gestured, and the women followed his line of sight. Seeing his observation held true. See that alley over there? It leads to a warehouse. That's our target. I'll take point. Senior, you cover our rear. The four of you walk in the middle. He finalized their formation. Time was far too limited to dawdle. If the massive horde of monsters chasing the train caught up, they would face certain death. Remember, no screaming, no running, no matter what you see. If you get separated, I won't be able to rescue you. The four girls nodded hard, overwhelmed with terror, yet fully aware their only shot at survival was sticking with Lin Han. Descending the stairs, they crept along the base of the buildings toward the west, arriving at an alley wide enough for 3 people to walk side by side. After trekking roughly 100 meters, the passage opened wide to reveal a small warehouse. Its front gate hung unlatched, gaping open. Drawing near, they spotted tall wooden crates draped in tarpaulins piled inside, the cloth blanketed under thick snow. Metal barrels and a coil of wire littered the corner. Lumber. Su Qian's eyes lit up, whispering excitedly and stepping forward. Those crates must be full of timber. Wait. Step back, everyone. Lin Han held out an arm to stop her. His gaze fixed on yellow-green footprints stamped into the snow of the yard. Only tracks leading inside, none leading back out. This residue matches the zombie we fought earlier. There's at least one more monster trapped inside the warehouse. Lin Han frowned, standing at the front of the group. The warehouse held abundant supplies just out of reach, blocked by hidden undead. Lin Han, should we still go in? Shen Qingyi's beautiful eyes flickered with worry. None of the women matched Lin Han's physical strength. If multiple zombies lurked within, they would struggle to defend themselves. Yet abandoning such vital supplies felt devastating. In this bitter cold, every resource was priceless, and they might never stumble across another stockpile like this again. Of course we're going in. Lin Han's tone held unshakable resolve. The horde trailing the train won't arrive for another hour. But even with our down parkas, we can't endure this freezing weather exposed for long. We need to finish scavenging fast. Wasting time here means we'll miss the chance to search other parts of town. They traveled all this way. Turning back empty-handed was unthinkable, and there was no guarantee another warehouse would appear later. Then we'll take the risk. Shen Qingyi agreed firmly, tightening her grip on her crossbow and turning to the 4 younger women. Grab your defensive tools. If there are too many undead, we retreat immediately. If only a handful, we fight them off. At her words, the 4 girls pulled entrenching shovels and other makeshift weapons from their packs. The 6 of them formed a triangular formation, Lin Han leading as they advanced slowly toward the warehouse entrance. Just as they reached the threshold, 2 low growls echoed. One zombie emerged from each side of the doorway. Lin Han swung his fire axe horizontally to block both charging creatures at once. A dull thud rang out. Though the zombies moved sluggishly, they possessed immense brute force. Even with doubled strength, Lin Han strained to hold back their combined weight, the pair shoving him backward with a single sweep of their arms. Still, his stand halted their rush, forcing them to retreat deeper into the warehouse. It's only 2 of them. Lin Han steadied himself, waiting several heartbeats to confirm no more undead emerged, relief flooding his chest. Just 2? We can take them on. Lin Wire brandished her entrenching shovel, a determined look crossing her face. She understood that survival in this frozen wasteland meant facing danger head-on. Fear would only drag the team down. Once a delicate runway model, she had no choice but to toughen up. Senior, watch our rear and pick off any extra zombies that rush to attack us. The rest of us will engage them up close with axes and shovels. Lin Han laid out their battle plan, gripping his fire axe and charging forward with the 4 girls. Seeing the humans advance of their own accord, the 2 zombies let out rumbling snarls. lunging with clawed hands as the group poured into the warehouse. Lin Han had already gauged their slow movement speed from their first clash, ready for their advance. He raised his axe and brought it crashing down onto one zombie's skull. A sharp crack split its head open like a rotting melon, thick green bodily fluid pooling across the floor. At the same time, Lin Wire led the other three girls, shoving the second zombie backward until it slammed against the warehouse wall. "I'll finish it off." Lin Han stepped to its side and delivered a clean, fatal axe blow. "Ugh, that's absolutely revolting." Lin Wire wrinkled her brows, staring at her shovel coated in thick, sticky zombie gore. "There's not a single intact part on those creatures." The other women shared her disgust. Former fashion models, none had ever witnessed such a horrific sight. "You'll get used to it. We'll likely face even more grotesque creatures down the line." Lin Han offered them a few encouraging words before walking over to the first fallen zombie, bending to extract its core. "Let me collect this core. We can't rely solely on you for every dangerous task from now on." Lin Wire stepped forward, mimicking Lin Han's posture to reach for the crystal. Without warning, a sharp hiss cut through the air. The supposedly dead zombie beneath her feet suddenly twitched, and a tiny infant's clawed hand burst out of its ruptured abdomen, swiping straight for Lin Wire's torso. No one had time to react to the sudden ambush. "Ah, this hurts so badly." Lin Wire let out a cry of pain, staggering backward, blood soaking through her parka. Zhao Mingyao reacted instantly, catching her before she crashed onto the frozen concrete. There's a smaller zombie inside its torso. Shen Qingyi's reflexes were razor-sharp, and she loosed a crossbow bolt straight into the fallen creature's body. The monster thrashed even more violently, its stomach bulging outward as the infant zombie writhed within. "Damn it!" Lin Han snapped out of his shock, rushing forward and hacking repeatedly at the zombie's abdomen with his axe until every trace of movement ceased. "I can't believe there was a zombie infant hiding inside that corpse." Lin Han felt a surge of dread. If he'd knelt down to retrieve the core himself, he would have been the one injured. It was clear he'd grown careless on his first trip into this post-apocalyptic zone. "Wire, talk to me, don't scare me like this." Zhao Mingyao clutched her tightly, tears streaming down her face. Lin Wire's parka was torn open across her chest, fresh blood seeping steadily from the gash. The wound was undeniably severe. "It hurts terribly. My torso's badly damaged. What am I supposed to do?" Lin Wire burst into tears, overcome with panic. "Grab the first aid kit right away." Lin Han's heart ached knowing Lin Wire had taken the blow meant for him, barking out the order urgently. "I have the kit here, but does anyone know how to use it?" Su Qian pulled the medical pack out at once, and her question left the four women staring blankly at each other. As professional models, their daily lives revolved around maintaining their figures. None had ever learned emergency medical treatment. The kit sat within reach, yet none of them knew how to administer care. "Junior, do you have any experience with this?" Shen Qingyi asked helplessly, watching Lin Wire writhe in agony. Terrified the injury would turn fatal without prompt care. "I know how to handle basic first aid. Let me take care of her." Lin Han often hiked alone to remote snow-capped mountains to photograph scenery, so he was well versed in fundamental wilderness medical procedures. He took the first aid kit and knelt beside Lin Wire. He gently pulled apart the torn fabric of her parka to assess the injury. Beneath the flowing blood lay a deep, jagged laceration that cut far into the tissue, dark purple bruising spreading outward from the wound edges. Lin Wire frowned when she noticed Lin Han staring silently at the injury site. "What's holding you up?" "I'm just assessing the full extent of the wound to plan treatment properly." Lin Han answered frankly without embarrassment. "Quit dawdling. This isn't the time to stand there staring." Shen Qingyi tapped the back of Lin Han's head in frustration. The girl was in critical condition, and all he could do was linger over examining the injury. "Ahem, I was only trying to calm Wire's nerves with a quick assessment." Lin Han cleared his throat, dropping the idle chatter and opening the first aid kit to retrieve supplies and begin cleaning, disinfecting, and bandaging the gash. Though he managed to stop the bleeding, the laceration remained gruesome to behold, and dark purple discoloration continued spreading outward from the wound. "I've stemmed the bleeding, but I have no way of knowing if these zombie bites carry the infectious virus shown in films. If the pathogen transfers through wounds." Lin Han trailed off, leaving the terrifying implication unspoken. "You mean Wire might turn into one of those undead monsters?" The other three women paled with terror at his words. "No, I don't want to become something that hideous." Lin Wire grabbed Lin Han's wrist tightly, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You have a system, right? Can it heal this wound and save me?" She stared up at him pleadingly. I'm not sure what the system can do." Lin Han scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. Up to this point, the system had only issued a single beginner survival quest, and it had never mentioned any functions to cure zombie-inflicted wounds. He'd never anticipated running into hostile monsters or having one of the women sustain a life-threatening injury at this station. He'd originally planned to gather supplies and study the system's unique reward mechanic once they returned to the train. And judging by its core function description, it was built to handle resource and relationship bonuses, not emergency medical treatment. Ding. Special quest issued. Earn lavish rewards upon having close contact with a woman with an evaluation score above 80. Friendly reminder. Guaranteed reward. 1x specifiable class awakening voucher, 1x storage space. Lin Han looked quite surprised. Could the system sense what he was thinking? He'd just thought the system lacked practical functions, and it immediately sent out a quest. Class Awakening? They actually reward something like this, and we can pick the class type ourselves. Lin Han was taken aback. But then again, they were trapped in an extreme cold doomsday. So special classes made sense. Beyond the train lay countless deadly threats. Aside from zombies, far more horrifying creatures were bound to lurk out there. This class reward was extremely valuable. If he unlocked a healing class, he might be able to save Lin Wire. Just then, soft sobs rang out. Woo, Lin Han. Ask the system for help quickly. I'll do anything it takes. I heard you got rewards for having close contact with Sister Chingy. Can't you do the same with me? Desperate and frantic, Lin Wire blurted out whatever crossed her mind in a panic. What nonsense are you talking about? Shen Qingyi's face burned bright red upon hearing those words. No way, really? I've only seen stuff like this in videos before. Are we actually going to witness this unfold right now? The other women, Su Qian and Zhou Ruodong included, were distracted by Lin Wire's words. They stared over, clearly curious to see what would happen next. Lin Han let out a helpless sigh. This would be a perfect chance to grow closer to the women, but timing and location mattered. In this freezing, frigid environment, acting on impulsive urges would only lead to serious harm. There was no way he'd risk permanent injury over this. Ahem. There's no need to go to such extremes. The system just released a special quest. Close contact with the opposite sex grants rewards, and the main prize is a class awakening voucher. I suspect these vouchers unlock supernatural abilities just like those in online novels. If we can unlock healing classes, we won't have to fear injuries anymore. Lin Han explained the entire special quest to the group. The phrase class awakening shocked all the women. A class awakening voucher? Junior, how many of these can you obtain? Shen Qingyi pressed him urgently. This item was a lifeline that drastically boosted their survival odds. I can't say for certain yet. The system only gave out this one special reward for now. But if it's available once, it can be available again. I'll make sure everyone gets one eventually. I'll study the quest thoroughly once we're back on the train. Lin Han held nothing back. They were a team surviving together, so he wanted every member to have extra means to protect themselves. Even he himself hoped to unlock a class. We can't wait till we get back to the train. Look into it right now. The four of us can gather supplies without you. Exactly. We still have nearly an hour before we have to leave. We can't risk Wire's condition worsening before we return to the train. Once they learned they could unlock classes, Shen Qingyi and the others grew extremely eager. They didn't want Lin Han wasting energy on laborious supply collection. Hurry up and claim the reward, Lin Han. Lin Wire was even more anxious. Does the quest only require simple close contact? Does deeper interaction yield stronger awakened classes? Can we just have a gentle embrace or a kiss first? That way I receive the system's blessing, and you complete the quest too. Though her cheeks flushed with shyness, Lin Wire stared at Lin Han with earnest anticipation. Lin Han felt flustered by her suggestion. Stop that. We're at a station stop, surrounded by bitter cold. Besides, close contact covers many different forms of interaction, not just what you're implying. Are you really that eager to grow close to me? Lin Han sighed and teased her lightly. I'm not eager for you. I just want the quest rewards. Lin Wire's face turned crimson. Lin Han, if you don't want to help Wire, you can pick any of us instead. What she said might be true. More intimate interaction could create stronger classes. Su Qian and Zhao Mingyao stepped forward, equally willing to volunteer. Though they joked and egged each other on, nervousness lingered beneath their words. The thought of sharing such a personal moment with Lin Han in front of everyone made them bashful. I won't let any of you cut in line. Lin Han is going to help me first. Wait, I'm seriously injured and could die at any moment, and all you're doing is joking around. Go help Sister Qingyi move supplies at once. Lin Wire urged them with a flushed face. The women stopped teasing after that. Supplies were far too critical to ignore. Shen Qingyi couldn't sort all the goods alone, So the others headed toward the stockpiles to organize materials, stepping aside to leave Lin Han alone with Lin Wire. Once the rest left to sort supplies, Lin Han turned his gaze back to Lin Wire. Among all the women, Lin Wire did not have the most stunning looks, but as a bust model, she possessed unique, striking features. When he'd taken photos of her before, every pose left his heart racing. "A kiss, kiss me. That counts as close contact, right?" Lin Wire mumbled quietly, her voice soft yet clear enough for Lin Han to hear. Seeing her biting her lip shyly, Lin Han subconsciously swallowed hard. All right. He would not hesitate now, not only for the system reward, but to save Lin Wire's life. Lin Han knelt down and pulled Lin Wire gently into his arms. As he leaned closer, both of their breaths quickened. Lin Han could even feel her body trembling slightly in his hold. Their lips met in a soft kiss. Seconds later, Lin Han's eyes flew wide, and he pulled away abruptly. "Wait a minute. Why did you slip your tongue into my mouth?" Lin Han stared at her in disbelief. "What's wrong with that? I just wanted our contact to be as close as possible for a better reward. Did you already share a deeper moment with Sister Chingy earlier, so you're worn out now?" Having crossed the initial shy threshold, Lin Wire lost all trace of bashfulness and eyed him skeptically. "I'm perfectly fine." Lin Han pulled her back into his embrace at once. Lin Wire grew even more eager, leaning actively into him. Back in his old life, he'd only been a photographer. He never imagined he'd share such an intimate moment with a model like her. Ding. Quest completed. Congratulations to host for finishing close contact with target Lin Wire. Rewards received. 1x specifiable class awakening voucher, 1x storage space. Hearing the system notification, Lin Han's face lit up with joy. He pulled away from Lin Wire reluctantly. "Show us the rewards quickly." At those words, the other women hurried over from the warehouse. Everyone was fascinated by the concept of classes, something they'd only read about in novels. Lin Han focused his mind, and a special card materialized out of thin air in his palm. It was the size of a bank card, black at its base, with swirling star patterns painted along both edges. Other than its beautiful design, it appeared ordinary at first glance. This voucher lets you pick any type of class you want to awaken. Right now, Wire risks turning into a mutated zombie. I suggest we unlock a healing class first. Who wants to become our healer? Lin Han scanned the group of women. "Give it to someone else. I don't need it for now." Shen Qingyi replied immediately. She was skilled with the crossbow and already held a combat advantage. Wasting the voucher on healing would be a poor choice for her. "Pick me, Lin Han. I'd love to be the healer." Zhao Mingyao spoke up. She was the eldest of the women, with a full, curvy figure. Though she was a model, she specialized in standard figure modeling rather than bust-focused shoots. Such modeling relied on overall body proportions and silhouette rather than just chest size. "Then it's yours." Seeing no other volunteers, Lin Han made up his mind. Press the card against your forehead, close your eyes, and focus firmly on the type of healing class you want. The system had explained the usage method once he claimed the reward. To specify a class type, he only needed to concentrate on that direction while activating the voucher. "Got it." Zhao Mingyao nodded and took the card. In an instant, the card dissolved into stardust and drifted into her forehead. A faint layer of pale green light wrapped around her body, visible to everyone. It worked. I can feel the power surging inside me. Moments later, Zhao Mingyao's eyes shot open, brimming with excitement. "I've awakened a healing-focused class." "Mingyao, can you heal my wound right now?" Lin Wire asked eagerly. This reward had been earned through her kiss, but she chose not to claim it for herself, planning to unlock a powerful combat class later on. "I should be able to." Zhao Mingyao stepped forward and held her palm out toward the wound on Lin Wire's chest. The next second, soft pale green energy swirled in her palm and flowed steadily into Lin Wire's body. Instantly, the injury across Lin Wire's chest knitted itself, closed rapidly. Not a single scar remained. Her skin was fully restored to its original condition. Stunned by the sight, everyone fell silent for a moment. "Mingyao, what's the name of your class?" Lin Han asked quickly. The knowledge flowing into my mind says I'm an A-rank restoration sorceress. I can mend all injuries, even restore depleted mental energy. But the power drains me severely. After healing Wire, I can already feel my mental strength dropping sharply." Zhao Mingyao answered. "A rank?" Lin Han blinked in surprise. Clearly, classes were separated by tier rankings. A rank was obviously not the highest tier, yet it was undoubtedly powerful. An A-rank healer is more than enough. We now have reliable medical support for the team. "Mingyao, you won't join us on supply hunts from now on. Your job is to conserve your mental power and stand by as our dedicated healer." Lin Han made the decision without hesitation. Sounds good. Shin Qingyi and the others nodded in agreement, no objections raised. Lin Han, will the system release more quests? Su Qian asked then. Watching Zhao Mingyao unlock a unique class made her yearn for one of her own too. I checked the system just now. The highest tier major quest requires having children with a partner, but the requirements are far too harsh for our group right now, so we can ignore it. Other than that, random special quests will pop up periodically alongside daily quests. Daily quests grant intimacy points through gentle, close interaction with the opposite sex. Intimacy points can be exchanged for goods in the system shop, though the shop remains locked to me for the time being. Lin Han laid out the basic mechanics of the system to help everyone adapt to the new rules. So there are multiple types of quests. We'll need to find more ways to earn rewards moving forward. Lin Han, you'd better get ready for more quests with us. A faint smile tugged at Shun Qingyi's normally cold expression. Deep down, she knew Lin Han was their greatest source of safety in this doomsday world. Let's gather all remaining supplies together now. We only have 1 hour left before we must depart. We need to collect every material required to upgrade the train before the dark tide catches up to us. Lin Han suspected the bitter cold they faced now was only mild compared to what awaited them. Far lower temperatures were likely coming soon. Lin Han, I tallied up the stock here. We have lumber, stone blocks, and iron ingots, enough materials to upgrade the train once transported. But our food reserves for 6 people are far too scarce. Should we head out to hunt for more provisions? Lin Han nodded upon hearing Shun Qingyi's report. All of us will go search for food next. Also, I just unlocked the system storage space from the quest reward. It currently has 10 storage grids, each holding 10 cubic meters of volume, more than enough to store every pile of materials we've collected. One more thing. Keep an eye out for Tier 2 blueprints while you search the area. As he finished speaking, Lin Han focused his mind and teleported all the lumber, stone, and metal they'd gathered into his storage space. Counting the zombie cores they've collected earlier, they only lacked a blueprint to upgrade the train. Here's the plan moving forward. Sister Qingyi and I will stand guard and keep watch. The 4 of you sort and gather supplies as fast as possible. We've already wasted too much time here. We need to leave quickly. Shun Qingyi knew they could not afford to linger. The deadly dark tide was surging, so their stop at this station had to be short. She assigned roles immediately. The women snapped to attention and split up to collect supplies as instructed. When they pried open wooden crates stacked in the warehouse, they were overjoyed to find not only lumber, but bundles of steel rebar and rows of canned food inside. Su Qian dug deep beneath the crates and uncovered large slabs of air-dried meat wrapped in oil paper. Frozen solid like stone in the sub-zero weather, this dried meat was top-tier protein in the doomsday wasteland. Lin Han, look at this. Zhou Ruodong carried several green metal canisters out of an iron cabinet. In the corner, her face lit up with excitement. I think these are military-grade fuel. Can you check? Lin Han took one canister to examine it. Though unfamiliar with the product, the flame symbol printed on the label told him it would serve at minimum as fuel for campfires and heating, even if it was not specialized high-energy fuel for the train. Without hesitation, he teleported all the canisters into his storage space. They were nearly finished combing through every corner of the warehouse when Shun Qingyi, who'd been posted at the doorway as lookout, lowered her voice sharply. Something's approaching. After their earlier experience, the group understood that zombie-type monsters could not see. They tracked prey solely through sound. Everyone fell completely silent at once, holding their breath. Moments later, heavy thudding footsteps echoed outside the warehouse. These footsteps sounded nothing like the light, shuffling gait of regular zombies. Each step landed with a heavy crash, sinking deep into the snow. Lin Han sensed something dangerous about the footsteps. Gripping his axe tight, he pressed against the wall to peek outside. His expression shifted drastically at what he saw. The creature standing outside defied all expectation. It was a colossal zombie, standing nearly 3 meters tall, its rotting, decaying muscles exposed all over its body. Tiny lesser zombies clung to its torso, constantly feeding on the energy within its flesh. It had no eyes at all. Its massive skull housed only a gaping, cavernous maw lined with jagged teeth caked in rotting flesh from unknown creatures. Most striking of all was its chest. 3 gray-blue monster cores embedded in a triangular formation, each 3 times larger than the cores harvested from ordinary zombies. This is an elite monster. Lin Han identified its rank instantly. Its appearance alone proved it existed on an entirely different power tier from regular zombies. This beast would be incredibly difficult to fight, yet the 3 cores in its chest were an irresistible prize. Combined with the 2 cores they already owned, defeating it would leave them with far more cores than required for the train upgrade. Should we fight it? Shen Qingyi's fingers rested lightly on her crossbow trigger. She had also spotted the 3 valuable cores. They had no choice but to fight. This elite monster blocked the only exit leading out of the warehouse. Lin Han's mind raced, plotting how to defeat the towering elite foe. A head-on brawl was suicide. The monster's brute strength would overwhelm every single one of them. Yet abandoning the fight meant they might never encounter a lone elite monster at the next station stop. Even if they tried to sneak around, the creature's sharp sound-based senses would detect them easily. We fight it. He gritted his teeth and finalized the plan. But we won't charge straight in. Senior sister, circle around to the collapsed clock tower on the side. It has an unobstructed vantage point. Once the monster steps into the narrow alley in front of the warehouse, I'll draw its attention out. You target its leg joints with crossbow bolts first to cripple its movement. We have to finish this fight within 10 minutes maximum, or the dark tide behind us will catch up. The battle demanded lightning-fast resolution. They had already spent most of their limited stop time traveling to the town and scavenging supplies. And the dark tide was closing in fast. It's far too risky. Lin Wire grabbed Lin Han's arm anxiously. What if it's surprisingly fast? It's enormous, but size doesn't guarantee slow movement. Their earlier gentle contact had erased all awkwardness around physical touch between them. That's why we need all of you to coordinate with the plan. Lin Han turned to the other women and laid out his full strategy. Bring all the military fuel we found and pour it across the snow at the warehouse entrance. Its body is covered in rotting flesh, so fire will definitely harm it. Once I lure it close, ignite the fuel on my signal. Even if the flames don't kill it outright, they'll create chaos and give Sister Qingyi and me openings to strike its weak points. After the zombie carrying an infant inside its belly, he'd fully understood one thing. He could never judge these undead creatures' combat strength by their outward appearance alone. Time waited for no one, and the group sprang into action at once. Shen Qingyi gripped her frost crossbow, using broken walls and rubble as cover to sneak swiftly toward the clock tower ruins. Lin Wire and the others unscrewed every fuel can they had, splashing thick fuel across a fan-shaped stretch of ground in front of the warehouse entrance. The extreme cold had thickened the fuel heavily. Instead of sinking straight into the snow, it formed a glistening layer of oil over the frozen earth. Lin Han held a fire axe in his left hand and picked up a steel pipe off the ground with his right, striding toward the alley mouth. The colossal zombie wandered aimlessly, but at the noise, its massive skull whipped around to face Lin Han's direction. "Hey, big guy over here." Seeing the giant's full attention locked on him, Lin Han struck the wall hard with the steel pipe without hesitation. Roar! Enraged by the dull clanging noise, the giant zombie flew into a furious frenzy. The second the beast charged forward, Lin Han cursed under his breath. He'd finally grasped how terrifying this monster truly was. The towering zombie barreled toward him like a heavy-duty freight truck, and just as Lin Wire had guessed, its speed was far from sluggish. Lin Han's face paled, and he spun to run. Even with all his stats doubled, he dared not let this 3-meter-tall brute collide with him. One hit would almost certainly kill him instantly. As he sprinted, Lin Han could clearly feel the ground trembling beneath his feet, and the monster's ragged, hot breath drew closer with every heartbeat. 100 meters, 50 meters, 30 meters. Light it and run. Glancing at the warehouse just ahead, Lin Han ignored the risk of drawing other creatures and shouted at the top of his lungs. The giant could not stop its momentum once it charged. It would likely crash straight through the warehouse walls. Lin Han slid across the oil-soaked zone, gliding on his momentum through the warehouse gate. Zhou Ruodong and Su Qian tossed lit flintstones out simultaneously, then grabbed Lin Han off the ground and dragged him sideways to safety. A dull, thunderous boom echoed as the fuel ignited instantly. A 2-meter-tall wall of fire erupted out of nowhere, sealing off the entire alleyway. The colossal zombie crashed headfirst straight into the blazing inferno. It had been moving far too fast to break in time. Roher! Flames engulfed the giant's body, and the tiny parasitic creatures clinging to its flesh screeched in agony. They flailed their limbs wildly, trying to beat out the flames covering their host, but the fuel burned with unrelenting adhesion. The fire blazed hotter and hotter, feeding greedily on the giant's massive frame. "Qingyi, now's our chance. Strike it." Zhou Ruodong and Su Qian hauled Lin Han to his feet, and he tightened his grip on the fire axe, eyes fixed unblinkingly on the burning monster as he shouted orders. At the same time, atop the clock tower ruins, Shen Qingyi aimed her frost crossbow straight at the giant zombie. She held her breath and loosed her first bolt, which buried itself cleanly in the giant's left knee. A second bolt followed immediately, piercing the hollow behind the knee joint, crippling that leg completely. The giant was left balanced on only one limb, unable to support its 3-meter frame. The towering mass crashed heavily down into the blazing fire. The giant thrashed violently, yet its immense weight, crippled leg, and unceasing flames left it trapped, unable to rise again. Lin Han, its core is embedded in its chest, but its hide is far too thick. I can't pierce it. Shinqingyi's voice crackled over the walkie-talkie. She'd fired another shot and found she could not break through the monster's tough flesh. Leave it to me. Lin Han gripped his fire axe tighter at her words. The axe dealt bonus damage against frozen undead headshots, but the giant's skull was nearly as impenetrable as its chest plate. He had no guarantee he could cut through its defenses, yet there was no turning back now. He circled around the giant's side, stepping through the searing heat of the flames with a grave, focused expression. Aiming for the joint where the neck met the torso, Lin Han hurled the fire axe like a throwing blade with all his strength. Crack! The axe sank into the zombie's neck, yet it did not bury itself deep. The creature's bones were unnaturally dense and hard. If they relied solely on fire to burn it to death, it would waste precious hours. And time was the one resource they could not spare. Roar! Lin Han's strike had enraged the beast further. Even pinned on its back, it let out a deafening roar. It braced both palms against the ground, twisted its arm with brutal force until it snapped clean off, then sent the severed limb flying straight toward Lin Han. The detached arm hurtled through the air with crushing momentum, swinging straight for his torso. Are you even a zombie or some circus performer? Lin Han's face paled with shock. He'd never imagined the monster would resort to such a vicious, unforeseen trick. No ordinary undead would tear its own limb free to use as a weapon. He had no time to dodge. He summoned the axe back to his hand via his system and braced it in front of him to absorb the blow. Boom. The overwhelming force sent him flying like a cannonball, slamming hard against the warehouse's brick wall. A bitter metallic taste flooded his throat. Searing pain exploded across his back, and it felt as though every organ inside him had shifted out of place. Lin Han, the girls cried out in unison. Zhao Mingyao reacted the fastest, activating her healing ability instantly. A soft green glow wrapped around Lin Han's body, dulling the worst of his agony. Lin Wire rushed over in 3 quick strides, kneeling beside him to prop his upper body against her lap and steady him. Are you all right? The other women stepped forward to help, but Lin Han lifted a hand to stop them before they drew near. Stay back. Hold the fire barrier. Lin Wire glared at him when she saw he was still alert, smacking his chest lightly. You fool. I was genuinely worried about you. Get up now. Once we take this monster down and return to the train, you'll have plenty of time to rest. With that, Lin Wire gently pushed him upright, urging him back into the fight. Lin Han's eyes lit up at her words. He felt revitalized, fully recovered thanks to Zhao Mingyao's healing magic. He brushed ash off his clothes and refocused on the giant still rolling in flames, his gaze locking onto the gash his thrown axe had carved into its neck. The axe had not severed the beast's head, but it had split a deep opening. Slate blue blood oozed non-stop from the wound, feeding the surrounding fire. We've got an opening. Without hesitation, Lin Han charged forward once more, hurling the axe out and recalling it repeatedly in quick succession. He doubted the giant could tear another limb free to hurl at him again. Shinqingyi never paused either, firing crossbow bolts non-stop at the exposed gash. Barely 1 minute later, the giant could no longer withstand their relentless assault. Seizing his chance, Lin Han charged straight into the flames without regard for the burning heat. He gripped the fire axe reversed in both hands, drove the blade deep into the neck wound, and roared with all his might. Die already. The axe blade sliced all the way through, severing the giant's head from its shoulders. The monster's thrashing cut off abruptly. Its colossal frame twitched a handful of times, then fell completely still. Finally, we took it down. Lin Han leaned heavily on his fire axe, gasping for breath and cracking a faint smile. Meanwhile, after burning for so long and chilled by the snow covering the ground, the flames slowly died out. A thick, sickly stench of burnt rot hung heavy in the air. Seeing the fire fade, Shinqingyi packed up her crossbow and hurried over from the clock tower. It's enormous. The other girls gathered around the massive corpse, their faces a mix of lingering fear and quiet triumph. Hurry and extract its core, Lin Han said as he knelt beside the body and raised his axe. This monster made far too much noise. We don't want more creatures drawn here. He split open the giant's ribcage with the axe and pulled out 3 crystal cores, each noticeably larger than any they'd found before. They felt ice cold to the touch, faint streams of energy swirling visibly within each one. That brings our total to 5 cores, We've surpassed our target. Lin Han stowed the cores safely away and continued speaking. We only need one second-tier blueprint to upgrade the Tundra train, and this town must have one hidden somewhere. Just then, Su Qian pointed toward the section of warehouse the giant had crashed through. A hidden cellar entrance lay exposed before them. There's a cellar here. It was completely concealed. We never would have found it if the monster hadn't smashed through the warehouse walls. The group stepped closer and spotted a heavy iron door half buried under layers of snow. Let's open it. Lin Han and the women pushed together to heave the metal door upward. A thick, stale, moldy odor washed over them the second the entrance gaped open. Their eyes all locked onto a metal cabinet standing inside the cellar. Lin Han pulled open the cabinet door, revealing several leather document pouches and a small iron box stacked neatly within. He unzipped one pouch and pulled out a yellowed engineering blueprint. Blueprint, Tundra Train second-tier armor upgrade. We found it. Lin Han's face lit up. They'd searched endlessly for the blueprint, only to stumble across it by pure luck. His fingers brushed the iron box beside the documents next. It had no lock, only a simple metal clasp fastening it shut. He flipped the clasp open. Inside were no treasures of gold or silver, but 3 glass vials filled with dark crimson liquid. Information about the serum flooded into his mind the instant his skin made contact. Primary potential stimulant. Injection drastically boosts all base physical stats for 30 minutes. Warning: severe exhaustion and harsh side effects follow once the serum wears off. Use with extreme caution. This is a potential stimulant, a last resort combat boost. He briefly explained the serum's effects to the group, then stored the blueprint and vials in his spatial storage ring before turning to face them. Every objective we set is complete. This trip's been an incredible haul. We can't afford to linger. We head straight back to the train now. At Lin Han's command, the women moved quickly to finish inventorying all usable supplies left in the warehouse. His spatial storage held 10 compartments, each with 10 cubic meters of space, and every single compartment was now crammed full. Large bundles of lumber and steel rebar alone took up nearly half the storage room, with fuel cans and miscellaneous gear filling the rest, leaving almost no empty space left. This really is a massive haul. Lin Han clapped his hands in satisfaction. These supplies alone will sustain us for a very long stretch. Don't celebrate too soon. Xin Qingyi poked her head in from outside the warehouse, her expression grim. I watched from the clock tower. The entire eastern skylines turned pitch black. The horde of monsters chasing our train is closing in far faster than we predicted. We wasted too much time fighting that giant. Her words sent a jolt of anxiety through every person present. Move out. Lin Han charged out of the warehouse first, fire axe raised to lead the way, while Xin Qingyi stayed behind to cover their retreat. The 4 women walked in the center of their formation, as usual, each slung with a full backpack they'd found stored in the warehouse. Lin Han's spatial storage was maxed out, so they grabbed all spare hiking packs to carry leftover supplies rather than abandon anything valuable. Once outside the warehouse, they saw their original path was half buried under fresh wind-blown snow. Luckily, Lin Han had memorized their route on the way in, and they followed the base of the walls to retrace their steps. They hadn't traveled far before Lin Han, leading the group, froze mid-step. Hold on. He lowered his voice, gaze fixed on the street corner ahead, his expression darkening. 3 ordinary zombies wandered back and forth there, blocking their path. 3 of them, Lin Wire whispered. We didn't expect to hit a roadblock. Fighting them will draw more undead. Can we circle around? Detouring's not an option. Lin Han shook his head, glancing at the darkening eastern horizon. This is the fastest route back to the station. Any alternate path would lead us straight into larger mutated beasts. Then we fight, fast and clean. 3 zombies is nothing. You and the others hold them off up close. I'll climb for high ground to snipe. Xin Qingyi raised her crossbow, knowing they could not afford delay. No need to complicate it. Lin Han grinned, pulling the 3 glass serum vials out of his spatial storage. Perfect timing to test these. Lin Han, have you lost your mind? Xin Qingyi's face filled with alarm. She thought he planned to inject the stimulant himself. What will we do if you collapse from the exhaustion side effect? Who's going to pilot the train? I never said I'd use it. Lin Han smiled and turned to the other women. 1 vial lasts 30 minutes, more than enough to clear these 3 zombies and reach the train. The side effect is only crippling fatigue, which we can recover from safely once we're back aboard. One of you will take it. I volunteer. Lin Wire stepped forward at once. Don't write me off as just someone who can't pull their weight in combat. Excitement flickered across her face, eager to test the serum's power. I want a dose too. Zhou Ruotong rushed to speak up next. Lin Han had expected them to hesitate, so their enthusiasm caught him off guard. Enough bickering. Lin Han pulled one single vial free. I'll assign who takes it. He wanted to observe exactly what debilitating side effects the serum caused, and their current light combat made this the perfect trial run. We only need one dose for this skirmish. Save the remaining 2 for future emergencies. Wire, you'll take it. Remember, we have 30 minutes maximum to finish the fight and reach the train. Mengyao can heal your fatigue once we're safely on board. Lin Wire grabbed the glass vial without hesitation. She drew a deep breath, plunged the needle into her forearm, and pushed the crimson liquid into her bloodstream. The second the serum entered her veins, her entire body jolted. Visible muscle definition hardened across her arms, thick blue veins bulging beneath her pale skin. Her whole aura shifted completely. It's indescribable. My body feels utterly transformed. She flexed her fists, stunned by the surging, boundless strength flooding her limbs. Save your awe for after we're back on the train. Lin Han patted the top of her head gently, amused by her reaction. Lin Wire wasted no more words and charged forward first. The 3 street zombies caught sight of her instantly, snapping their heads toward her and lunging to attack as one. But this battle unfolded nothing like their previous fights. The stimulant had rewritten Lin Wire's physical capabilities entirely. A single light push off her feet sent her rocketing forward. Before the zombies could even complete their lunge, she'd closed the distance to the rightmost one. Get out of my way. A sweeping kick connected with the zombie's knee joint, the unbelievable force snapping its lower leg clean off and sending the limb flying. She followed with a brutal elbow strike straight into the back of its skull, severing the head entirely. It rolled across the frozen pavement like a rubber ball. The other women gasped in shock watching the scene unfold. The potential stimulant's power was absurdly amplified. Lin Wire moved like an unstoppable force of raw violence under its effects. Lin Han wasted no time either, charging forward and splitting the front zombie's skull open with one swing of his fire axe. The last remaining zombie never got within striking distance before Zhou Ruodong and Su Qian pinned its limbs with their military shovels. Lin Han spun around and delivered the finishing axe blow. All 3 undead were eliminated in less than 30 seconds. Lin Wire's overwhelming speed making the fight over in an instant. Wow, that power's insane. Lin Wire stared down at her own hands, glancing at the severed zombie head on the ground, unable to believe the strength her body now wielded. I feel confident I could take on that 3-meter giant we fought earlier head on right now. Don't let it go to your head. Lin Han tapped her temple with a laugh. The serum only lasts 30 minutes, and we can't afford to waste time dawdling. Everyone move quickly. That monster horde isn't waiting for us. The 6 regrouped and set off again, traveling several times faster than they had. Boosted by the stimulant's endless stamina, Lin Wire outpaced even Lin Han, so he placed her at the front to clear their path. Before long, the Tundra Town's train station platform came into full view. The lone train sat parked on the metal tracks, a beacon of safety amid the endless frozen wasteland. It stirred a faint feeling of home within them all. We're almost there. Su Qian cheered quietly. A low, distant rumble rolled across the land at that exact moment. Every person turned to look back simultaneously, and a wave of terror washed over the entire group. Stretching along the eastern horizon, an inky black tide advanced at an impossible speed, a roiling mass made of countless mutated creatures piled atop one another. Huge centipede-like abominations, flesh sphere monsters sprouting clusters of eyes, quadruped crawlers bearing human faces. Thousands upon thousands of them, dense enough to blot out sky and sun. Where the black tide surges forth, surviving buildings vanish in an instant, not even rubble left behind. It's as if everything has been devoured whole. These creatures move like locust swarms, leaving nothing alive in their wake. Run! Seeing this horrific sight, Lin Han knew full well what awaited them. If the black tide swallowed them, not a single intact body would remain. The 6 of them sprinted madly toward the train. Boosted by potency serum, Lin Wire reached the carriage door first. She yanked it open and spun around to pull the others aboard. Zhou Ruodong clambered up next, followed by Su Qian, then Zhao Mingyao. Hurry, senior. Lin Han halted at the doorway, stretching out his hand to grab Shen Qingyi, who'd stayed behind to cover their retreat. Shen Qingyi stood less than 10 meters from the train. Gritting her teeth, she sprinted with every ounce of strength she possessed. Her high ponytail came loose in the wind, strands of hair plastered across her sweat-dampened cheeks. 5 meters. 3 meters. 1 meter. Shen Qingyi was almost within reach of the carriage. A low rumble echoed from the train. Woo! The carriage jolted violently and lurched forward. Damn it, what's happening? Shen Qingyi reacted instantly. The departure timer. The announcement said the train automatically departs once its stop time expires. We wasted too long fighting that elite monster. Panic sharpened every word. She'd survived every prior danger, yet now she might be left stranded. Glancing back at the all-consuming black tide bearing down, despair crashed over her. She pushed her legs harder, yet the train steadily pulled ahead, widening the gap between them. The wheels screeched harshly against the rails, showing no sign of slowing. Chingy, the girls already aboard watched her falling further behind, their faces draining of color. Without a moment's hesitation, Lin Han leaned far out the door. One hand clamped tight to the doorframe, the other stretched as far forward as he could reach. Senior Shun, grab my hand. Shun Qingyi redoubled her pace, lunging to grasp his outstretched palm. But the gap remained half a meter too wide, and the train kept accelerating, 30 kilometers an hour, 40, 50. Keep running. Don't stop. Lin Han's voice cracked with urgency. Shin Qingyi had been the first woman to form a soul bond with him. He could not bear to watch her die here. Driven to desperation, he threw his body downward from the carriage, hooking one foot over the metal railing along the edge of the speeding train. Frigid wind whipped into his body unceasingly as he clung there, yet this reckless gamble paid off. His fingers closed firm around Shun Qingyi's wrist, and he hurled her body hard toward the carriage doorway. A dull thud echoed as Lin Han crashed heavily against the train's metal hull, nearly knocked unconscious by the impact. Catch her quickly. As Shun Qingyi's body arced through the air, Lin Wire seized the hood of her down jacket. Zhou Ruotong and Su Qian hauled in tandem, yanking her fully into the carriage. But the recoil sent Lin Han sliding backward, his fingertips slipping away from the door's edge. Lin Han! The four women screamed in shrill, trembling unison. Lin Han clung on with only one foot looped over the railing, while the black tide crashed up against the platform behind him. Unimaginable abominations let out deafening, rasping screeches, and a thick, putrid stench choked him completely. Pull me up. What are you waiting for? Lin Han shouted. Having if consumed potency serum, Lin Wire reacted fastest, darting forward to haul him to safety. A roar of monstrous cries faded behind them. Mere seconds after the train cleared the station platform, the black tide swallowed the entire platform whole. Lin Han was dragged back onto the carriage, yet his reckless leap and brutal collision left terrible injuries. A massive bruise bloomed across his shoulder where he'd slammed into the armored plating. His left arm could barely lift, and his swollen ankle showed clear signs of a hairline fracture. If his physique hadn't been vastly enhanced by inheriting the title of train conductor, that brutal impact alone would have killed him outright. Thank God, we made it out alive. Lin Han lay flat on the carriage floor beside the doorway, gasping raggedly, his chest heaving. Lin Han, are you all right? Lin Wire knelt beside him, tears spilling down her cheeks at his exhausted, battered state. You scared me half to death. Are you hurt anywhere badly? She hovered over him, hands suspended mid-air, afraid to jostle his wounds as she hesitated to lift him. The other three girls wore equally stricken expressions. All of them knew Lin Han had sustained these injuries protecting the group. Don't cry. Sort through the loot we gathered first. Wire, help me to the rest compartment. The train's set to cruise at a fixed speed. Nothing will go wrong unless an emergency hits. Lin Han forced a weak smile to calm their fears. He gestured for Lin Wire to support him toward the back rooms. Lin Wire slipped an arm under his uninjured shoulder, weaving around stacks of stored supplies lining the narrow aisle toward the rear rest cubicles. Every step sent searing pain shooting through his shoulder and swollen ankle. Hanging from the speeding train's railing had forced his bones to absorb the full force of the accelerating locomotive. Without the physical boost from his conductor title, he would not have been able to stand at all. Slow down, take it easy. Lin Wire's voice still thickened with sobs, her eyes bloodshot. She pressed her body close to his, letting his useless left arm rest across her shoulders while her other arm wrapped firmly around his waist. She was practically half carrying him forward. Lin Han glanced down at her. Her fitted-down jacket had split open from their earlier battle, leaving only a thin black thermal top beneath that outlined her soft curves clearly. What are you staring at? Lin Wire's ears flushed bright red, yet she did not loosen her grip supporting him. Lin Han tugged at his lips, trying to smile, only to suck in a sharp breath as pain flared from his ankle. The rest cubicle was one of the few intact private spaces aboard the train, compact with a single metal bed pushed against the wall. Lin Wire eased him down onto the mattress, then knelt to pull off his heavy work boots. I can do it myself. You can't even lift that arm. Don't be stubborn. Lin Wire ignored his protest, yanking the boot free in one smooth motion. At the sight of his ankle, swollen round as steamed dough, she gasped sharply. Is it broken? Hairline fracture. Nothing fully snapped. Lin Han tested the joint gently. His augmented body possessed far faster natural healing than ordinary humans. Such an injury would leave a regular person bedridden for 2 weeks, but he estimated he'd recover most mobility within a day or two. Don't worry, I'll be mostly healed by tomorrow. Lin Wire said nothing, biting her lip as she retrieved bandages to stabilize and wrap his injured ankle. The second she finished wrapping the gauze and stood upright, her knees buckled. All strength drained from her frame, and she crumpled forward straight into Lin Han's chest. Wire? Lin Han caught her by the shoulders, instantly sensing something wrong. Her skin burned hot beneath his palms. He studied her closely. Her complexion flushed crimson by the second, her skin glowing scarlet. Her breath came in ragged, rapid gasps. The intense spike in her body temperature told him everything. This was the side effect of the potency serum she'd injected earlier. The warning label didn't mention side effects this severe, Lin Han muttered, his head throbbing with trouble. He was half lame with fresh injuries. Handling her violent serum backlash would prove difficult. Lin Han. Lin Wire's voice softened to a fragile, breathless murmur. Her hands trembled where they clutched his shirt, and she curled into his chest like a trembling kitten. When she tilted her head to look up at him, her eyes glistened with mist, pupils unfocused and hazy. My body feels strange, burning hot all over, like I'm running a terrible fever. Waves of exhaustion crashed over her alongside the serum's intense hormonal surge, robbing her of basic coordination. She curled atop the thin mattress, her long legs shifting restlessly against the sheets, tugging weakly at her overheated layers in a dazed, vulnerable state. Lin Han swallowed hard. As a young man, the sight stirred strong temptation within him. Lin Wire possessed delicate, refined features and the most striking figure among all the girls. Her defenseless, weakened state frayed his self-control to its limit, yet he clung tightly to his rationality. He forced his gaze away, planning to call Zhao Mengyao, who specialized in medical knowledge, to find a way to soothe the serum's brutal side effects. The thought had barely crossed his mind when his system prompt blazed to life, the tenfold soul bond return ability activating. Ding! New quest triggered. Gain full soul bond consent from a second beauty with an evaluation score above 80. Lin Han stared at the glowing system hologram. He never expected a soul bond quest to activate at such a critical moment. The system's core rule was plain. Every bonded ally amplified his strength, so forming more soul bonds was essential to survival. Lin Wire, right here in front of him, presented the perfect chance. System, you never leave me a chance to stay purely focused on survival. He drew a deep breath. He turned his gaze back to the girl curled weakly on the bed. Lin Wire was nearly delirious from the serum's torment, fingers twisting tight in the bed sheets, as she bit down hard on her lower lip to muffle whimpers. Lin Han reached out, brushing his palm gently against her flushed cheek. Wire, listen to me. There's a way to calm these terrible side effects. The system just issued a quest. If you choose to fully form a soul bond with me, the serum's pain will fade, yet our bond will deepen permanently. If you hesitate, I can simply stay by your side to help ride out the fever. Lin Wire processed his words through her haze of heat and exhaustion. Don't bother with gentle half measures. I've long wanted to unlock the system rewards that come with our full bond. With the last shred of clear thought left in her mind, she tugged his shirt toward her. She tilted her chin upward and pressed her lips to his. That single bold gesture spoke louder than any words. Lin Han understood her answer and leaned down to meet her. The thin metal bed frame creaked softly beneath their weight. Ding! Congratulations to host. Quest completed. Rewards granted. 1 vial of Tier 2 Evolution Serum, 1 rare Aura Support Skill Tome, 1 Enchantment Stone, 10 crates of general supplies, 1 unit of locomotive fuel. Congratulations, host. Your 3 basic talents have advanced to intermediate tier. 3 talents upgraded at once. Intermediate pain resistance. All injury suffering reduced by 50%. Intermediate stat multiplier. All base physical attributes doubled from previous levels. Intermediate vital seed enhancement. Your life force core receives special reinforcement. Fertility rate for bonded partners increased by 20%, effective against all human and non-human bonded allies. Meanwhile, outside the cubicle in the carriage aisle, Zhao Mingyao held a mug of warm water, ready to knock on the door. Her hand froze mid-air, her face flushing bright red the instant faint sounds drifted through the thin partition. Zhou Ruoton walked past, hauling sacks of salvage to sort. Spotting Zhao Mingyao rigid by the door, red as a boiled shrimp, she wandered closer out of curiosity. What's wrong? Is Lin Han's injury serious? Why aren't you going in to check? Her words died mid-sentence as she heard the noise from inside the room. Zhou Ruodong's cheeks burned instantly, and she stumbled backward 2 paces. She was utterly stunned to witness Lin Wire and Lin Han solidify their soul bond in the rest cubicle. Su Qian arrived third, intending to gather everyone to tally the supplies they'd recovered from their last battle. Stepping into the aisle, she spotted Zhou Ruodong and Zhao Mingyao pressed against the wall, both red-faced and awkward, like students caught skipping class. "What are you two doing loitering here?" She too fell silent, catching the muffled sounds behind the closed door. Su Qian clapped a hand over her mouth, eyes blown wide with shock. The 3 girls stood frozen in the narrow corridor, none daring to speak or walk away, exchanging flustered, embarrassed glances. The air hung so still one could hear a pin drop. Yet every small noise from the cubicle carried crystal clear through the quiet. Shen Qingyi finally broke the awkward silence, walking over from the front locomotive compartment, her hunting crossbow unloaded and slung over her back. "Why are the 3 of you blocking the hallway? How badly is Lin Han hurt?" Her footsteps halted as the sounds reached her ears as well. A rare, unnatural pink blush tinted her cold, elegant features. She glanced away awkwardly, coughing once to mask her embarrassment. She suddenly recalled the day she'd formed her soul bond with Lin Han, wondering if they'd made such noise. Ahem. The cough barely concealed her fluster. She herded the 3 stunned girls away from the doorway, lowering her voice sharply. "Stop lingering here, crowding the passage. Head forward to sort the salvage, separate, and catalog all supplies. Don't stand around with idle hands." Zhao Mingyao snapped out of her daze, with Zhou Ruodong and Su Qian jumping like startled rabbits. They hurried toward the front carriage with heads bowed, crimson blushes still staining their cheeks. Zhao Mingyao's complexion the reddest of all. Shen Qingyi followed behind them, faint noises still drifting from the cubicle as she walked. She couldn't help but silently compare the moment she'd bonded with Lin Han. Humph, men never act responsibly. Even half-injured, he prioritizes deepening soul bonds over resting his wounds. Shen Qingyi huffed quietly. She forced her focus onto the supply inventory list and strode quickly away from the aisle. Half an hour later, the cubicle door creaked open. Lin Han stepped out, propping himself up with a steel pipe scavenged from the toolbox as a makeshift crutch. His wounds had not fully healed, yet his overall condition transformed entirely after forming a second soul bond. A fresh stream of warm power flowed steadily through his veins, a unique attribute buff originating from Lin Wire, aligned perfectly with the all-round physical boost of her potency serum. This was the power of tenfold soul bond return. Every completed bond mended his wounds and elevated his physical limits to new heights. The once swollen ankle now bore only a faint blue bruise, and the dark contusion across his shoulder faded drastically. He could lift his left arm without restriction once more. The only new marks scattered across his neck were faint pink bruises left from their close bond formation, and a faint lingering weariness weighed on his mind. "Little firecracker puts on a tough front all day complaining about me, yet threw caution completely aside once the serum hit," Lin Han muttered to himself. At that moment, the train system alert echoed inside his head. "Train upgrade complete. Current tier, Tier 2. Conductor, please review all systems of your Tundra train." Wow, the upgrade blueprint finished that quickly. Tundra train. The name must stem from the massive stockpile of materials we recovered in Tundra Town. His consciousness linked automatically to a brand new interface displaying the Tundra train's combat weapon systems. 2 rapid-fire autocannons slid out from hidden compartments inside the front armor plating. Their ammunition reserves remained limited, yet this marked a critical turning point. Their locomotive was no longer a helpless metal box only capable of fleeing danger. It now possessed genuine counterattack firepower. As for the Tier 2 evolution serum awarded by the system, it materialized in his palm right then. Tier 2 Evolution Serum. Consumable item, used to break through to Tier 2 once all Tier 1 job awakening requirements are fully completed. Reading the description, Lin Han knew it would sit and used for a long time. Zhao Mingyao was the only member of their group with an awakened combat profession, and her current level had not yet fulfilled all Tier 1 advancement prerequisites. This serum would remain a reserve asset for future growth. The special aura skill rewarded by the quest did not appear in his inventory. It must have transferred directly to Lin Wire. He saw no urgency to ask about it now. The serum's brutal side effects had exhausted her completely, and she lay fast asleep inside the cubicle. Leaning on his steel pipe crutch, Lin Han stood in the aisle stretching his stiff muscles, a satisfied smile tugging at his mouth. This escape had brought unprecedented rewards. He glanced toward the front carriage, where 4 women sat clustered beside their stockpile of supplies, carefully going over the haul. They reviewed what they'd recovered from the town warehouse with pens and paper. Lin Han noticed, however, that none of them dared meet his gaze. Whenever their eyes locked with his, they'd quickly look away. He scratched his head in total confusion. Had they overheard what had happened back in the workshop just now? The thought made Lin Han feel a little awkward too. Not knowing what to say to break the tension, he pretended nothing out of the ordinary had occurred and walked over calmly. As he passed Zhao Mingyao, he spotted the young girl staring hard at her inventory list, her head practically buried against the paper. This only cranked up Lin Han's awkwardness further, and a strange hush settled over the carriage. Ahem. Next time you're tending to critical team matters, keep your voices down. The workshop sound insulation is terrible right now. It looks like wires still worn out from the after effects, so let's get our meeting started instead. Shen Qingyi, the group's de facto leader, finally spoke up. She shot Lin Han a pointed glance, a faint hint of mild jealousy lacing her tone. Right, got it. Lin Han took the offered out, limping over to sit down in the middle of the group. Su Qian, run us through what we brought back. We must have gotten a decent haul today. Su Qian cleared her throat and began her report. All right. We recovered 4 bundles of lumber, 3 bundles of steel rebar, 6 cans of military fuel, 12 beef tins for large slabs of cured dried meat, 6 hiking backpacks, assorted first aid supplies, plus scattered hand tools we dug out of several metal lockers. This stock should sustain our group for roughly 2 weeks. It's not overflowing, but it's far from inadequate. Su Qian paused, flipping to the next page of her notebook. Our biggest gain, though, came from the cellar Lin Han found. A level 2 armor upgrade blueprint, a map marking the surrounding territory, and a small portable fuel generator. Lin Han nodded. I checked the system just now. The train's officially upgraded to level 2. The weapon systems have been unlocked. Our safety secured for the near future. Our only pressing concern now is fuel. Pass that map over for me to see. Zhou Ruodong handed him the map, which they spread flat across a supply crate. The parchment was old and yellowed with age, yet it was an invaluable reference for their group, who'd previously had zero bearings of the surrounding terrain. It marked several major stations along the tundra railway tracks, with one circled heavily in red, Outpost 7. Outpost 7 lies 3 stations further down the line, branching off onto a side rail. Someone marked it with that red circle for a reason. We can't tell if it's a safe haven or a dangerous zone. But now that we have functional weapons, we can swing by to investigate. If we're lucky, we might run into other survivors. Lin Han trailed off, but his unspoken intent was clear. Right now, he hoped to find other living humans in this desolate world besides their small crew. The women exchanged glances, hope flickering across each of their faces. After all, every one of them dreamed of expanding their group, rather than surviving alone forever with just the 5 of them. Then it settled. Our next destination, Outpost 7. Lin Han slapped a palm down on the map, cementing their upcoming objective. Just then, Lin Wire stepped out from the rear compartment, fully rested after her recovery period. Far from looking drained from the harsh side effects of the serum, her complexion glowed bright and healthy, radiating vitality after her recovery. What's this talk about Outpost 7? Did we find a new settlement? Lin Wire's voice cut through the quiet. All eyes turned to her, and the women instantly recalled overhearing Lin Han and Wire's private recovery session outside the workshop earlier. The odd, stifling atmosphere returned in full force. Zhou Ruodong was the first to crack under the silence. A playful grin tugged at her lips as she nudged Su Qian's elbow. Su Qian, look at Wire's complexion. She's glowing like she spent hours soaking in a warm hot spring. Hardly looks like someone who endured brutal serum side effects, right? Su Qian had been trying to maintain a serious demeanor, but Zhou Ruodong's jab broke her composure. She nodded with mock solemnity. From my limited medical knowledge, serum after effects usually leave people weak and exhausted. Wire's current state's nothing like that. Lin Han, did you administer some unknown potent recovery tonic only you have access to? At those words, Zhao Mingyao buried her face completely in her inventory list, struggling to hold back laughter. Shen Qingyi joined in the light teasing, adding fuel to the playful ribbing. A special tonic? I'd say Lin Han himself is the remedy. He claimed his leg injury left him barely mobile, yet he spent a full half-hour alone in the back compartment. Seems that injured leg had plenty of energy left for recovery work. Senior sister, that's putting it way too bluntly. Lin Han's face burned with embarrassment at their relentless teasing, fumbling for words. He scratched the tip of his nose awkwardly. I was helping Wire mitigate the serum's harsh side effects. Purely critical team support, nothing more. I'm a disciplined, responsible person. MHM, Purely critical support. Qingyi arched an eyebrow, unwilling to let the light-hearted teasing end. She hadn't forgotten how the group had ribbed her after her own private recovery session with Lin Han previously, so she shot back another quip. Critical support that left faint marks across your neck? Even the mutated zombies outside don't leave that many traces after an encounter. The carriage erupted in laughter, the women giggling openly as they leaned forward, drawing Lin Han's flustered gaze. Lin Wire stood at the center of the group, bombarded by their playful jabs. Her already rosy cheeks flushed deeper, and she had no retort ready. "Cut it out, all of you." She stamped her foot, glowering at them in mock frustration, resorting to playful defiance. "I did this for the good of the team, don't you understand? If the serum side effects weren't so severe, I never would have needed that extended recovery aid." "Never would have what?" Zhou Ruotong pressed with a mischievous smile, refusing to drop the subject. "Never would have made so much noise during your recovery? We heard every word outside the door. Your voice carried all the way across the carriage." "Zhou Ruotong." Lin Wire's patience snapped, and she lunged forward to pinch her friend. She quickly calmed herself, though, remembering the important news she'd stepped out to share. "Wait, don't shift the topic. I came out to say I unlocked a brand new skill after my recovery session. You'll want to hear this. It's incredibly powerful. I tested it just a moment ago." Her words instantly pulled everyone's full attention back to her. Even Lin Han sat up straighter, curious. He hadn't gotten a chance to ask about the aura skill the system had rewarded Lin Wire with yet. "What skill?" Qingyi asked first, her tone shifting to sharp focus. In the end times, every new ability was a vital survival trump card, and she knew better than anyone, having been the first to complete a recovery session with Lin Han, that system rewards were never trivial. Relieved to redirect their teasing, Lin Wire puffed out her chest, pride shining on her face. "Stand still and close your eyes, everyone. Feel what happens." The women traded confused looks but complied, shutting their eyes. A split second later, a golden ring of light burst outward from Lin Wire's body, stretching wide enough to wrap around the entire carriage. "Whoa." Qingyi's eyes flew open first, shock etched across her features. After confirming what she sensed, she spoke in disbelief. "The temperature just rose. It's true. The carriage is far warmer now." Zhou Ruotong gasped, staring at Lin Wire in awe. "I was shivering from the cold a minute ago, and now I don't feel a chill at all. It must have jumped 15 degrees at minimum." "At least 15, probably closer to 20 degrees within 10 meters of wire," Zhao Mingyao analyzed. This skill's game-changing. In this frozen apocalypse, warmth meant everything. Less fuel burned for heating, extended exploration time in frigid zones, drastically lower risk of frostbite and hypothermia. A person capable of generating steady warmth was as valuable as a mobile fortified shelter. Zhao Mingyao hadn't anticipated how overpowered Lin Wire's new ability turned out to be. "Wire, that's amazing. We won't have to huddle together for warmth at night anymore. I mean, we'll save so much fuel." She clapped hands, then ducked head once she realized her slip. Lin Wire's flush faded a little under their stunned admiration, replaced by quiet pride. She raised a hand to explain her aura skill to the group. "It's called Blazing Aura. Its passive effect grants all teammates within 10 meters of me complete resistance to extreme cold. It also has an active ability. The active ability lets me spend a monster core to grant a single person a 24-hour combat buff. 50% increased strength, 30% boosted agility, and doubled wound recovery speed. The catch is a 48-hour cooldown after each use. Trade-off: anyone who bears this aura can never unlock a specialized job class later, like Mengyao's healer role, for example. That path's permanently locked off for me." The skill balanced powerful advantages with a clear downside, yet its staggering utility left every person in the carriage stunned, including Lin Han. He'd never imagined the system would grant such an elite supportive aura. Still, the active buff's design felt tailor-made for his own combat needs. All heads turned toward Lin Han, and Qingyi narrowed her eyes. "Lin Han, this support ability the system gave her fits your combat playstyle far too perfectly. Was this reward custom-built for you? How could I possibly choose it?" Lin Han laughed helplessly, waving off the accusation. "The system assigns rewards automatically. I have zero say in what it hands out. The system's bound to you, so its rewards will always align with your needs." Zhou Ruotong crossed her arms, joining the playful teasing once more. "Spill the truth. Did you secretly hope for someone who can supply both warmth and combat buffs to back you up?" Zhou Ruotong, quit talking nonsense. Lin Wire rushed forward to cover her friend's mouth, and the two chased each other playfully around the carriage, dissolving the lingering, awkward tension entirely. Shen Qingyi cleared her throat and clapped her hands to restore order as the pair calmed down. Enough banter. Let's return to our planning. The group reconvened around the crate table, and Lin Wire deactivated her aura before sitting down beside Lin Han. Wire's skill carries immense strategic value. First, it cuts our fuel consumption for heating drastically and lets us explore frozen terrain far longer. Second, its active buff acts as a critical ace in high-stakes battles. Stacked with potential serum boosts, it can push one person's combat power to extraordinary heights temporarily. On top of that, its passive aura runs non-stop with zero resource cost. That makes Wire the core asset of our train, even more vital than our fuel generator. Being praised so formally left Lin Wire flustered. To her, it was merely a supportive ability, not something worthy of such high regard. This isn't just support, it's a core survival ability. Lin Han ruffled her hair gently, speaking earnestly. In a world of endless cold, this aura is practically a broken, overpowered skill. Lin Wire swatted his hand away, reverting to her usual haughty demeanor. Keep your hands to yourself. Haven't you spent enough time tending to my recovery already? Zhou Ruodong choked on the water she'd been drinking, nearly spraying it everywhere. Watch your manners. This isn't a private rest compartment. Mind your surroundings. The women shared another round of light-hearted jokes, then quickly sobered up, huddling back around the map spread across their makeshift table to finalize their travel plan. Shen Qingyi took the lead once more, tapping the red circled location with her finger. Outpost 7 sits a minimum 3 days travel away, based on the map's scale. We'll pass 2 intermediate stations along the way, number 6 Mine and Ice Lake Supply Depot. 3 days, Lin Han repeated, mulling over the timeline. It's not an overly long journey, but the key question is whether we should stop to search these 2 stations. The choice carried heavy weight, halting to scavenge for supplies or pressing forward without delay. If they skipped the stops, their current stock would last 2 weeks only under perfect, crisis-free conditions. Any unexpected disaster could drain their reserves in mere days. Stopping, however, meant exposing themselves to higher danger from mutated creatures. I recommend we make stops, Zhou Ruodong spoke up, her tone turning grave as she laid out her concerns. Our current supplies sustain us for 2 weeks, but that assumes 0 emergencies. If disaster strikes, those stores could vanish in days. In the apocalypse, you can never stockpile too many resources. Su Qian nodded in agreement, backing her up. Ruodong's right. We also desperately need more monster cores. I suspect upgrading the train's level requires monster cores, and every system unlocked job class relies on cores to level up as well. What do the rest of you think? Su Qian finished, deferring the final call to Lin Han. As the train's captain and the bearer of the survival system, he was the group's undisputed leader. Su Qian's observation hit on a critical point. The train sat at level 2, and advancing to level 3 demanded 20 monster cores. Lin Han only possessed 5, leaving them far short of the requirement. Job class upgrades also relied on cores, even aura skills like Wire's needed them to grow stronger. Right now, only Zhao Mengyao held an unlocked specialized job, while Shen Qingyi, Zhou Ruodong, and Su Qian remained without official classes. Stockpiling extra cores before reaching Outpost 7 would drastically boost the entire team's combat strength. We stop at both stations. Lin Han made the call without hesitation. But we enforce strict time limits. We barely escaped the Horde Black Tide at the Tundra Town last time, and we won't repeat that mistake. 20 minutes maximum per station, no exceptions. The memory of narrowly being swallowed by the endless tide of mutated creatures sent a shiver down his spine. 20 minutes? Lin Wire frowned with worry. Is that enough time to search each outpost? Every station swarms with monsters, which will slow our scavenging down significantly. It's sufficient, Shen Qingyi reassured her, explaining her reasoning. We fought side by side through multiple battles now. Our teamwork's polished. 20 minutes is enough to loot a small station as long as we don't encounter elite variants. If an elite monster does show up, she trailed off, glancing uncertainly at Lin Han to await his judgment. We retreat immediately, no fighting. Lin Han picked up her thought, resolved to avoid unnecessary risk after their near-death experience. High rewards aren't worth reckless odds. We won't engage elite monsters head-on until we have absolute superiority. That 3-meter giant corpse from our last fight nearly cost me my life. I have no desire to relive that terror. At the mention of that brutal encounter, everyone tensed, vividly recalling the mortal danger they'd faced. None could forget the sight of Lin Han clinging half out the speeding train. He was inches away from being pulled into the roiling mass of monsters. That wraps up today's meeting. Lin Han stood, rolling his shoulders. His old leg injury ached far less than it had earlier. Everyone go rest. We'll reach the first intermediate station tomorrow at dawn. I'll take the night watch. You're still recovering from your injury. There's no need for you to pull guard duty. Shun Qingyi frowned. Even though recovery sessions sped his healing, she refused to let the wounded man take the night shift. I'll stand watch instead. Senior sister, your crossbow loses power in low visibility. Lin Han waved his hand and said instinctively, besides, my injuries are completely healed. You know how potent the healing effect of the system bond is. Out of everyone on this train, I'm in the best shape right now. The moment these words left his mouth, Shun Qingyi's cheeks flushed bright red. The other girl's expressions also turned awkward. Lin Wire simply twisted her head toward the window, pretending to admire the scenery outside. Only then did Lin Han realize how his words could be misinterpreted. He gave an awkward dry cough. Ahem, what I meant was the system link itself grants wound recovery effects. That's all, don't misunderstand what I said. We're not misunderstanding anything at all, Zhou Ruotong replied with a deadpan expression, though the corners of her mouth kept twitching upward against her will. Su Qian bowed her head, her shoulders shaking non-stop as she struggled to hold back laughter. Zhao Mingyao buried her face in her arms, her ears blazing scarlet. You're all such mischievous girls, Lin Han sighed, pressing a palm to his forehead in helplessness. Then he turned and walked toward the locomotive cabin at the front of the train. I'm going to check the train's operational status. Carry on with whatever you were doing. Peals of laughter echoed out from behind him. The tundra train trundled steadily across the frozen wasteland at a constant speed. Night fell far too quickly. It was barely past 4 in the afternoon, yet the sky had plunged into total darkness. Days were fleeting in this frigid world. Endless nights and lifeless desolation defined this realm. Through the windows stretched an unbroken expanse of snow plains. Moonlight spilled over the snow, casting a silvery glow across every surface. A suffocating silence hung over everything. If not for the occasional distant roars of monsters, Lin Han would have felt utterly cut off from all humanity. But Lin Han had no time to dwell on such thoughts. He sat in the driver's seat, staring at the newly upgraded control panel installed during the train's renovation. The ammo gauge for the 2 rapid-fire autocannons read 100% full. Each cannon held 200 rounds, 400 rounds in total. This ammunition was not infinite. Once exhausted, they would need to source raw materials to forge more, or locate machinery capable of manufacturing ordnance. Even so, 400 autocannon rounds amounted to formidable firepower in this apocalyptic wasteland. At the very least, we won't have to rely on axes to fend off ordinary zombies anymore, Lin Han muttered to himself. He pulled up the train's status interface to scan all operational metrics. The speed held steady at 60 kilometers per hour with normal fuel consumption. This granted roughly 5 more days of travel time. Coupled with the fuel cans looted from the warehouse in the small town earlier, their total cruising range extended to around 8 days. The 7th outpost was still a long journey away, meaning he would need to find fuel replenishment near the outpost. Fuel. We need more fuel. Lin Han frowned deeply. He knew every station stop teemed with monsters, just as they had discovered at their first stop. How are we supposed to find fuel out here in this frozen wilderness? Just then, a knock echoed against the cabin door. Come in. The door swung open, and Shun Qingyi stepped inside carrying a steaming mug of coffee. I found this in a metal storage cabinet in the cargo hold. It's the last can we've got left. She held the cup out to Lin Han with a soft smile. Give it a try. My brewing skills aren't anything special. Lin Han took the mug and took a small sip. It carried a faint bitter taste with a slight, burnt aftertaste. Still, to have something hot to drink in this bone-chilling apocalypse was an incredible luxury. It's good, he said sincerely. Shun Qingyi settled into the co-pilot's seat beside him, gazing out the window at the blizzard-sweled landscape rushing past. She fell silent for a long while before speaking. Lin Han, do you think there are other survivors besides our group? Lin Han fell quiet, as well upon hearing her question. He understood exactly what she worried about. More survivors could mean extra manpower and a greater chance of survival. Yet they also brought countless unknown variables and hidden dangers. In the end times, human hearts were always far more terrifying. The zombies they'd fought before were horrifying, yet their attacks followed predictable patterns. Humans were unpredictable. You could never tell what a stranger might do the next second. I don't know, Lin Han answered honestly. Though he possessed the system, their understanding of this world remained superficial. That's why we need to go investigate. If other survivors exist, we can band together to strengthen our group. If it's a trap or a monster nest, our heavy weaponry and Wire's buff aura will give us more than enough means to defend ourselves. Shun Qingyi nodded, the tension easing from her features. I never imagined I'd end up traveling alongside you through all of this. But after everything we've endured, I've come to realize you're actually incredibly reliable." A flicker of genuine admiration softened her cool features as she continued. "No matter what crisis we face, you step forward and make decisive choices. That's when you're truly dependable. When am I ever unreliable?" Lin Han raised an eyebrow, teasing her lightly. "During our last system bond session, I told you to take things slowly, yet you rushed straight through." Shen Qingyi replied evenly. Her candid comment caught Lin Han completely off guard. He never expected his senior would speak so bluntly about the matter. Lin Han coughed awkwardly and turned his head to avoid meeting her eyes. "Senior, can we stop bringing that up? What's there to hide? Everyone on the train already knows." Shen Qingyi stood up and patted his shoulder. "Besides, your system is designed to connect with more people. There will be a fourth bond partner down the line." She walked toward the door, pausing right before stepping outside. "I just hope you'll take more care to muffle noise during future bonding sessions. At the very least, add soundproofing to our private compartment. The rest of the girls share this train car with us, after all." Before Lin Han could respond, she shut the door behind her. Lin Han stared blankly at the coffee mug in his hands for a long moment before letting out a helpless groan. Seriously, who's the train conductor around here anyway? These girls were far more unreserved than he was. Anyone watching would think they were the ones drawing strength. Still, this light-hearted exchange managed to lift everyone's spirits, letting them unwind from the life or death stress of the day's battles. Night deepened. Inside the passenger car, each girl had claimed a spot to rest. Lynn Wire sat near the carriage wall, maintaining her passive aura skill. After awakening her ability, her body temperature ran far higher than an average human's, rendering her unaffected by the bitter cold. Still awake, Lin Han was taking his night watch shift and stepped out to stretch his legs when he spotted Lin Wire, speaking up without thinking. Lin Wire turned to face him, watching as he hobbled over leaning on a steel-pipe cane, a military overcoat draped over his shoulders. "I can't fall asleep," she murmured, shifting to make space for him beside her. Lin Han sat down next to her, and the two stared out the window at the endless frozen wasteland side by side. "Lin Han, do you think our families are still alive somewhere?" Lin Wire's voice wavered. "Why were we the ones pulled into this strange world? Will we ever get back home? I miss my mom and dad so much." Lin Han's heart tightened at her words. None of them had dared to broach this question ever since being transported here. Not for lack of curiosity, but out of fear of the answer. "I don't have the answer either, but I refuse to abandon hope. If we can keep surviving each passing day, there might still be a way to return home someday." Early the next morning, Shen Qingyi's voice crackled over the train's loudspeakers. "Attention, all personnel. A station lies 10 kilometers ahead. We will arrive in 5 minutes. No obvious monster activity detected in initial scans. Take up combat positions and prepare for deployment." Everyone jolted awake instantly and quickly gathered their gear. Lin Wire activated her ability at once, casting a 24-hour enhancement buff on Lin Han. Warm surges of energy flooded Lin Han's body. He could feel his strength and speed skyrocket to unprecedented levels, the lingering aches in his injured left leg and shoulder vanishing entirely. "This is the power boost from the buff." He clenched his fist, marveling at the surging vitality coursing through his veins. "The effect is far stronger than the skill description made it sound." "Of course it is." Lin Wire lifted her chin proudly, thoroughly pleased with her aura ability. "I poured a lot of energy into casting this enhancement for you. When did you learn to fish for compliments?" "I learned it from you." Lin Han chuckled, double-checking his fire axe before walking to the carriage door. The train began to slow, and a mining facility came into view. A sign mounted above the rail platform read Site 6 Mine. The surrounding landscape had shifted from unbroken snowfields to a jumble of iron scaffolding and abandoned mining machinery half buried in drifts. "This is our first scheduled stop, Site 6 Mine." Shen Qingyi stepped to his side, sharing her analysis. "Mines always stockpile fuel reserves and heavy machinery. This is our best shot at gathering large quantities of fuel to extend the train's travel range. But hidden monsters will almost certainly be lurking here." Lin Han narrowed his eyes. Well-aware opportunity always walked hand in hand with danger. Mines stretched deep underground. Those abominations could have built nests anywhere down there. Mid-conversation, the train rolled to a stop alongside the mine's platform. The doors slid open, and frigid snow-laden wind rushed inside, sending temperatures plunging. Though Lin Wire's passive aura blunted most of the icy bite instantly. "It's so much warmer with your aura active," Zhao Mingyao muttered quietly. Lin Wire's warming aura was undeniably top-tier utility in this frozen world. 20-minute search window, move out. At Lin Han's command, all 6 of them stepped off. Site 6 mine was far smaller than the tundra town they'd scavenged previously. Stick to formation and do not split off alone. Lin Han slipped into full combat alert, gripping his fire axe tight. Lin Wire's passive aura spread out around the group, raising the ambient temperature. Yet the extreme cold still nipped at their skin. Having survived the town raid, Shen Qingyi and the others stood fully vigilant, ready to fend off sudden ambushes. She held her frost crossbow, positioning herself 1 step back to Lin Han's right. The remaining 4 spread out in a loose fan formation. Zhao Mingyao at the center, Lin Wire covering the left flank, Su Qian and Zhou Ruodong guarding the right. Each carried either an engineer's shovel or a crowbar as a weapon. The mine's terrain was far more labyrinthine than the town, offering countless hiding spots for zombies. Derelict mine carts and collapsed support frames littered the snow. Overturned excavators jutted out of drifts to the left, alongside a row of dark, empty worker barracks impossible to see inside. To the right, a rail track led deep into the mine tunnels, lined with idle or carts. The entire facility bore clear signs of a brutal, chaotic attack long before their arrival. "It's too quiet." Shen Qingyi scanned the surroundings as the group advanced, unease lacing her tone. In a place like this, total silence never boded well. Lin Han nodded in agreement. The tundra town had echoed with constant zombie snarls, yet here nothing could be heard save howling wind. The oppressive silence clawed at their nerves, as if unseen creatures watched them. They waited from shadowed corners, ready to strike. "Search the barracks first. Watch your footing." Lin Han AWS barely finished the order when a dark shape exploded out of the rubble. A shrill, unearthly screech cut through the wind. More than one shadow surged from the ruined barracks, 3 in total, racing forward on all 4s with canine-like movements. When they charged into clear sight, the group realized what they faced: mutated dogs, or what had once been ordinary canines. Faint traces of fur and their original body shapes remained, yet half their faces had rotted away to exposed skull bone. Bulging eyeballs dangled loose from empty sockets, swinging wildly as they ran. Their jaws split all the way to their temples. They were lined with rows of black, jagged fangs dripping thick, viscous slime. They looked like hellhounds risen from the depths of the underworld. Spread out. Lin Han reacted faster than anyone, already braced for an ambush. The 3 zombie hounds closed the 50-meter gap between the platform and barracks in the blink of an eye. The largest lead hound, the size of a young calf, lunged straight for Lin Han at the front of the group. Lin Han did not retreat. Fleeing would shatter their formation, leaving each of them vulnerable to being picked off one by one. After fighting swarms of black zombies and giant mutated corpses, fear barely registered in his mind anymore. Adrenaline flooded his veins, amplified further by Lin Wire's enhancement buff, boosting his reflexes and strength to new heights. The zombie hound snapped its jaws wide, black fangs aimed straight for his throat. A single bite meant instant death. Lin Han twisted sideways, sank his hips low, and swung his axe in one fluid, unhesitating motion. The axe blade sliced clean through the hound's open maw, tearing through rotting flesh and bone before bursting out the back of its skull. A wet squelch echoed, and dark green ichor splattered outward. He dodged just in time to avoid being covered in the corrosive fluid. The hound's forward momentum carried its limp corpse past him, and it crashed headfirst into the snow. One down. Lin Han shook blood off his axe and spun to rush to the other's aid. Before he could take a step, 2 sharp twangs of crossbow fire split the air. Twang! Twang! Shen Qingyi loosed 2 bolts in rapid succession. The first bolt pierced the second hound's front left leg, severing the limb entirely. The creature's charge faltered, and it tumbled across the snow. The second bolt struck the third hound square in the eye socket, punching straight through its skull to pin its body to an or cart 30 meters away. But the second hound, though crippled, was not dead. It scrambled back onto 3 legs and hurtled towards Su Qian and Zhou Ruodong on the right flank with terrifying speed. Block its charge. Su Qian reacted instantly. Mirroring a trick she'd seen Lin Wire use before, she gripped her engineer's shovel with both hands and held the flat blade forward to absorb the hound's momentum. Zhou Ruodong moved equally fast, wielding her crowbar to circle around and smash the hound's intact hind leg. A heavy crash rang out as the shovel collided with the hound's chest. A brutal shockwave surged up the shovel's handle into Su Qian's wrists, sending her stumbling backward several paces, nearly losing her balance. Even so, the blow slowed the hound's charge drastically. Zhou Ruodong's crowbar landed next, slamming hard into the hound's hind knee joint. The monster let out a piercing shriek, its three legs unable to support its weight as it toppled onto its side. Lin Han reached the scene in an instant. He planted one boot firmly on the hound's neck, raised his axe, and chopped its rotting head clean off. All three eliminated. He gasped for breath, sweeping his gaze across the battlefield. From the hound's initial ambush to their complete defeat took less than 20 seconds. Is anyone injured? He called out, scanning each member of the squad for wounds. I'm unhurt. Su Qian shook out her throbbing wrists. Lingering shock etched across her face. Solid team coordination, Lin Han nodded approvingly. While they'd fought off the hounds, Shen Qingyi had remained vigilant. Lin Han, 4 o'clock. The warning barely left her lips before another crossbow bolt flew. Lin Han spun around to see an ordinary zombie shamble out of the barracks. It took only one bolt through its forehead before collapsing motionless into the snow. The mine holds far fewer regular zombies than the town we cleared. Shen Qingyi reloaded her crossbow and surveyed the surrounding ruins. At least from what we've seen so far, the main threat here are these mutated zombie hounds. Don't let your guard down. Those 3 hounds struck completely out of nowhere. Without Wire's strength buff, I never would have felled the lead beast with one axe strike. Lin Han wiped gore from his axe blade and nodded toward the barracks buildings. Their nest is almost certainly hidden inside there. Should we head into search? We've only got a 20-minute time limit. Zhou Ruodong reminded him, not forgetting the rules they'd set before disembarking. Finish their sweep within 20 minutes and return to the train. They needed to leave ample leeway to outrun the black tide. They couldn't repeat the disaster from last time. We search. Lin Han's tone left no room for doubt. He had no intention of passing up the chance to scavenge Mine Site 6. No one knew what valuable supplies the mine might hold, and more importantly, they were critically short of monster cores. Monster cores were essential for everything, upgrading the train, advancing their combat classes, even enhancing their weapons. On top of that, survival stockpiles could never be too large. There was no telling when they might be trapped on the train with no way to venture out again. The black tide nipping at their heels hung over their heads like the sword of Damocles. Having made his call, Lin Han continued laying out the plan. Mine supply caches are almost always near the worker barracks. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Same formation as always. I'll take point. Senior sister will cover our rear, and the 4 of you stay centered in the group. Hold tight to the formation. Don't panic no matter what you encounter, and coordinate like we did earlier. Understood. The 4 women nodded in unison. Their fight against the zombie horde earlier had forged far smoother teamwork between them. After the life-or-death ordeal in the tundra town, these once sheltered fashion models were transforming visibly. The group trudged through the snow toward the barracks compound. After they'd eliminated the lead zombie hound, no other monsters charged out from the barracks. Lin Han crept along the wall to the barracks door, pressed an ear against it, and listened intently. Detecting no movement inside, he led the others in. Only half the barracks door remained intact. The other half had been smashed inward by some brute force. Lin Han leaned forward to peer inside, but the darkness obscured every detail. Su Qian, flashlight. Su Qian rummaged in her backpack and pulled out a hand-crank flashlight they'd looted from the Tundra Town warehouse. She spun the crank a few times, casting a beam of light deep into the barracks. The glow swept over rows of iron bunk beds still fitted with cotton quilts and mattresses. Several metal lockers lined the corners, their doors hanging wide open and emptied of all contents. Mine lamps, safety helmets, and skeletal remains gnawed clean littered the floor. Someone's already looted this place? Zhou Ruodong frowned, uncertain. Had other survivors beaten them to the mine? I don't think so. Lin Han's gaze locked onto the bones as he studied the bite marks covering the skeletons. These wounds are from zombies. Supplies might still be hidden deeper inside. He stepped into the barracks, fire axe raised defensively in front of him. Instead of rushing to search, he first scanned every inch of the space to rule out hidden threats. The flashlight beam swept every shadowed corner, until everyone spotted a heavy iron door at the far end of the barracks leading to an inner chamber. A massive padlock sealed the door shut, and a distinct drag mark cut through the dust beneath the crack, as if something heavy had been hauled out from within, leaving a dark streak across the floor. Over here. Lin Han walked to the iron door and gave it a hard shove. It did not budge an inch. He stepped back, hefted his fire axe, and brought it crashing down hard against the padlock. Clang. Sparks flew, and the lock snapped clean apart. Lin Han kicked the iron door open, and the moment the flashlight beam flooded the room, he froze. This was no miner's lounge as they'd expected. It was a compact emergency supply warehouse. The room was lined with shelves stacked neatly with crates of provisions. We hit the jackpot. Su Qian gasped quietly. Zhou Ruodong clapped a hand over her mouth. her eyes shining with unbridled excitement. This is the mine's official emergency stockroom. Shen Qingyi stepped forward, scanning the shelves. A rare soft smile tugged at her cold, sharp features. It must have been reserved by mine management and never opened during the crisis. Take everything. Lin Han wasted no time, shoving supplies straight into his spatial storage. 12 canisters of high-density fuel, 8 crates of military rations, 10 thermal blankets, 6 coils of heavy rope, 1 crate of first aid meds, plus 2 boxes of autocannon ammunition. His 10-slot storage filled to capacity, so they stuffed the rest into hiking packs. Each woman slung one over her shoulders, hauling as much as they could carry. We're nearly out of time. Zhao Mingyao glanced down at the digital watch on her wrist to warn them. 3 minutes left. Fall back. Lin Han zipped his pack closed, hefted its weight, and a faint grin tugged at his lips. This run was more than worth it. But just then, several shrill train whistles echoed from the platform, freezing every person in their tracks. Another train has pulled into the station. Shen Qingyi reacted first, her expression darkening. There really were other survivors with functional trains. But crossing paths with them here, of all places, was this a stroke of luck or a deadly danger? Lin Han narrowed his eyes. Instead of relief, a heavy sense of foreboding coiled tight in his chest. Earlier, he'd spotted human footprints deep within the mine, leading further underground toward the mine shafts, not back to the station. This new train had arrived along a separate branch line, neither from Tundra Town nor the 7th outpost. Drop the packs, travel light. We'll sneak over to gauge whether these strangers mean harm or goodwill. He made a split-second decision, barking the order in a low hush. They set their backpacks behind an empty mine cart and buried them under a layer of snow. Lin Han gripped his fire axe, hunched low, and crept along the outer platform wall toward their own stationary train. The 4 women followed close behind. The closer they drew to the platform, the clearer the outline of the unfamiliar locomotive became. It was an armored combat train. Unlike their Tundra train, an ordinary civilian engine retrofitted with makeshift armor. This one had been engineered from the ground up for battle. A snow plow and reinforced ramming spike jutted from the engine front. Thick steel plating welded to every carriage bore dried blood and deep claw marks. 2 heavy autocannons mounted on the roof boasted barrels twice the caliber of the weapons unlocked on their own train. But what sent a cold chill through Lin Han's heart was the insignia painted across the train's hull, a blood-red wolf's head, 3 drops of blood dripping from its bared fangs. The aggressive livery and purpose-built war train screamed hostility. The odds this group was hostile were overwhelmingly high. Lin Han watched the scene unfolding on the platform intently. The side hatch of the Blood Wolf stood wide open, and at least 7 or 8 men had disembarked. They wore patchwork outfits of animal hides and thermal winter coats, each man armed with a weapon strapped to his waist. They carried machetes, pry bars, hunting crossbows, and 2 carried modified shotguns slung over their backs. Their target was the Tundra train parked on the opposite side of the platform, Lin Han and his group's own vehicle. "Boss, this door's locked tight." A bald man kicked the Tundra train's metal door hard, failing to leave so much as a dent. The second-tier upgraded armor plating could withstand zombie bites with ease, let alone human kicks. "Break it open then." The man they called Boss stepped forward from the crowd. He stood a full head taller than the rest, draped in an oil-stained military greatcoat. A jagged scar sliced his left cheek from his eyebrow down to his jaw. He slung a modified hydraulic bolt cutter over one shoulder, jammed its jaws into the gap between the train doors, then shot a sharp glance at his underlings. "What are you waiting for? Press down." 2 henchmen rushed forward and bore their weight down on the cutter's lever. It was clear they intended to pry the doors wide open and ransack all their stored supplies. "Lin Han, they're breaking into our train. I see them. All our supplies inside." The women grew anxious, and Lin Han cursed himself inwardly. He should have left someone behind to guard the train. They could have held the gang off with the onboard autocannons. He'd never anticipated running into rival survivors this far out, let alone a ruthless crew willing to rob without hesitation. The hydraulic cutter's crushing force bent the metal door inward. The Bloodwolf boss planted one boot against the frame and slammed his weight forward. A deafening crash echoed as the Tundra train's door burst open. "Damn, this hull's tough as nails." The bald man spat and clambered into the carriage first. Lin Han watched him pace the cabin, then lean out the window and shout to his leader. "Boss, we struck gold. The whole carriage is stuffed with supplies, military rations, fuel canisters, medical kits. This stop couldn't be gone better." "Lucky brats," the Bloodwolf boss smirked at the news. "Amateurs, leaving their train unguarded like this." Where are the people who own this engine? The bald man scratched his head and replied, no sign of anyone. Must have headed into the mine to scavenge. Then we wait for them to come back. The boss's grin widened as he leaned his back against the side of the Tundra train. Today's our lucky day, supplies, a functional train, and whoever belongs to this gear. He licked his lips, already plotting how to exploit their captives once they returned. I haven't laid eyes on another survivor outside our crew in months. It'll be a relief to have new faces around. A roar of crude laughter erupted from the men standing on the platform. The bald man rubbed his hands together and sidled up to the boss. This train's built with proper factory upgrade schematics, not the janky modified blueprints we cobbled together. What should we do with the owners once they show? Execute all the men. Seize every supply we can haul. If there are women among them, take them back to our base to work alongside our crew. Anyone with medical or mechanical skill will keep alive. Everyone else gets left for the zombies once we're done extracting whatever use we can get out of them. He lit a cigarette and scanned the surrounding platform. He knew they couldn't loiter out in plain sight blocking the train, or the missing scavengers might never return. 2 of you stay aboard to load supplies. The rest follow me into the mine to cut them off on their way back. This mine only has one main path. They've no choice but to come straight through us. After overhearing every word of their scheme, Lin Han confirmed beyond doubt this crew were murderous raiders. It seemed more than one group had been dragged into this brutal survival game. Judging by their far more advanced war train, the Blood Wolf gang had survived and leveled up for far longer than Lin Han's party. The 4 women hiding behind him grew visibly shaken. None had expected to walk straight into such a deadly predicament. Only Shen Qingyi retained her composure, knowing panic would only cloud their judgment and seal their fate. Lin Han, what do we do now? Though she did not break down, she could not formulate a plan on her own, turning her gaze fully to Lin Han to await his call. We have no place to run. These men are dead set on stealing everything we own. We have no choice but to eliminate them. We hold the element of surprise. They have no idea how strong our group is. With our specialized combat classes working in tandem, we can take them all down cleanly if we coordinate well. Lin Han did not hesitate, resolve hardening into lethal intent. This gang had clearly robbed and killed countless other survivors before. Peaceful negotiation was impossible. This encounter would end with one side dead. Worse still, he had 4 vulnerable women under his protection. Even if they struck a temporary truce, the raiders' cruel intentions would spark bloodshed sooner or later. It was far better to strike first and wipe them out before they could act. The enemy stood exposed in the open, while they remained concealed in shadow, their greatest advantage. We have to kill them. Su Qian caught the weight of Lin Han's words, hesitation washing over her. Slaying human beings was nothing like fighting mindless zombies. Before the apocalypse, they had all been ordinary runway models, none prepared to take another person's life. Lin Han glanced at Su Qian, knowing lingering hesitation would prove catastrophic mid-battle. If you spare them, they will kill me, then capture every one of you. You heard what that bald brute said about what they intend to do to us. Do I need to repeat their threats? Su Qian's face paled instantly, realizing this was not a choice between mercy and violence, but between living and dying. Zhou Ruotong and Zhao Mingyao bit their lower lips, grasping the gravity of their situation, and nodded their assent. We fight them. Lin Wire spoke up first, voice sharp with rage. These savages deserve no mercy. Shen Qingyi said nothing, silently reloading her hunting crossbow with fresh bolts. Good. Listen closely to my battle plan. Lin Han swept his eyes over the terrain, a full strategy already forming in his mind. They've split their forces. 2 men left on the train to haul supplies, 6 headed deeper into the mine. We eliminate the 2 guards first to retake control of our train, then man the autocannons to lock down the platform. When the remaining raiders rush back, we'll trap them. Senior sister, climb to that high vantage point. It overlooks the entire platform. Once Wire and I sneak to the train and neutralize the guards, the other raiders will hear the commotion and charge back. You pick them off from above as they come. He turned to Lin Wire to assign her role. Your combat enhancement buff is still active on me. I'll lead the front charge, and you follow close to finish off any wounded foes. Su Qian, Ruodong, Mingyao, you 3 take cover on either side of the platform entrance. If any raider slips past our fire, pin them down the way we handled the zombie hounds earlier, and we'll move in for the kill. Understood. The women answered in unison, voices tight with nervousness yet free of lingering doubt. They moved out at once. Shen Qingyi ducked low, using abandoned mine carts and rubble as cover to dash toward the elevated overlook along the platform side. Lin Han and Lin Wire crawled forward through the drainage ditch running parallel to the train tracks. Thick snow concealed their forms, keeping them entirely unnoticed by the raiders. They drew near. The tundra train's broken door hung wide open, and the two raiders inside hauled crates of supplies out onto the platform. The bald brute slung a crate of military rations over one shoulder. A cigarette plucked from their supply stock dangled from his lips. A greedy grin plastered across his coarse features. Look at all this gear these folks hoarded: rations, fuel, medical supplies. The boss is gonna lose his mind when he sees our haul. The second raider poked his head out of the carriage, clutching 2 fuel canisters to his chest and chuckling greedily. I wonder if there are other survivors in their group. It'd be a welcome change to meet new people after months stuck with just our crew. The bald man set the crate down on the platform and turned to head back for more supplies, until a glint of metal caught his eye at his feet. He glanced down, locking eyes with the sharp edge of a fire axe. It was the last thing he would ever see. Lin Han burst upward from the ditch, swinging the axe upward in a brutal upward slash. The blade cleaved clean through the man's torso, tearing upward through his chest and lodging deep in his collarbone. One instantaneous, fatal strike. The bald raider did not even have time to scream. Blood and viscera spilled across the snow. The second raider inside the carriage had no time to process what had happened, still leaning out with the fuel cans. Hey Baldy, what are you wasting time over? His sentence died mid-throat as a crossbow bolt streaked through the air. The bolt pierced his left eye socket and burst out the back of his skull, pinning his body flat against the carriage's inner wall. Shinqingyi shot. Get aboard the train. Lin Han barked quietly, yanking Lin Wire into the carriage beside him. They quickly swept every compartment to confirm no more raiders hid inside. Then Lin Han sprinted to the driver's cabin and activated the onboard weapons control panel. 2 rapid-fire autocannons folded outward from slots in the front armor plating, their dark barrels locking onto the empty platform ahead. Senior sister, can you see the path leading back from the mine? Lin Han spoke into his walkie-talkie, the set they'd scavenged from Tundra Town, one issued to each member of their group for seamless battlefield communication. Perfect line of sight, Shinqingyi's voice crackled over the radio. They heard the fighting noise and are sprinting back this way, all 6 of them. The scarred giant boss is leading the charge up front. Copy that. Su Qian, Ruotong, Mengyao, stay hidden. Once I open fire to scatter their formation, flank and cut off anyone who tries to run. Understood. The second the reply faded, 6 running figures burst from the snow at the mine's exit. The Blood Wolf boss charged ahead of the pack, swinging his hydraulic cutter like a lightweight toy. The scar across his face twisted with unbridled rage. Damn it! Who dares touch my people? The second he charged onto the platform, his eyes locked onto a corpse of a bald man split clean in 2. His pupils constricted sharply. Spread out, there's an ambush. Without a split second of hesitation, Lin Han activated the twin autocannons, firing simultaneously. Large caliber bullets poured down like a storm, blanketing the entire platform in a hail of fire. 2 raiders failed to dodge in time. Cannon rounds sliced them cleanly at the waist. Their upper torsos flew 3 meters through the air, while their lower halves took 2 more stumbling steps before collapsing. A thick mist of blood burst across the frozen ground, and the metallic stench of gore hung heavy in the air. Shit, they took the train back. Hurry, get to our vehicle. The 4 surviving raiders were paralyzed with terror, scrambling to flee in every direction. The leader of the Blood Wolf crew reacted fastest, rolling behind an or truck. Bullets slammed into its steel plating, showering sparks everywhere. Calm down. Their autocannons only carry limited ammo. They'll run dry soon. We strike the second they reload. He never finished his sentence. A crossbow bolt whistled past his cheek, piercing the throat of a subordinate who'd tried to bolt toward the train. Shinqingyi had begun picking off targets one by one from her high vantage point. Up there. Someone's shooting from the high ground. Another raider shrieked, pointing toward the elevated platform. The moment his shout left his mouth, Su Qian and Zhou Ruodong sprinted out from either side of the platform entrance. Su Qian gripped an entrenching shovel with both hands, swinging the flat face hard into the raider's knees. The blow sent him crashing to the snow. Zhou Ruodong followed instantly with a steel pry bar, slamming it dead center into the back of his skull and caving his cranium in. Zhao Mingyao stayed back behind them, her palms glowing faint green, ready to mend any wounds. 7 of the 8 raiders lay dead in mere moments. Only the Blood Wolf crew's leader remained, the towering brute with a jagged scar slicing across his face. He cowered behind the ore truck, staring in abject horror as his entire crew was wiped out in a single exchange. All his usual vicious ferocity vanished, replaced by unbridled disbelief and dread. Wait a minute. We can negotiate. I know intel you don't have. There are other survivor camps nearby. I can lead you straight to them. His plea died unfinished as Lin Han stepped into view. He carried the blood-drenched fire axe rather than manning the autocannons or crossbow, closing in on the scarred man one slow step at a time. Lin Han raised the axe's flat back and smashed it down hard on the raider's knee, shattering the limb completely. The scarred man screamed and crumpled to his knees, dropping his hydraulic cutter onto the snow. Lin Han kicked the tool far aside without hesitation. I ask you answer. Lin Han crouched to meet the scarred man's gaze eye to eye. One lie, and I cut off one finger. Once your fingers are gone, your toes. After that, your arms and legs. Earlier, you said you'd kill all the men and drag the women back to your camp, didn't you? The scarred man's pupils shrank. He'd never imagined this group had set up a hidden ambush outside the station. No wonder his crew had suffered such a catastrophic defeat. Behind Lin Han, the 5 women slowly came down from the adrenaline-fueled rush of combat. Their moves had been raw, instinctive reflexes powered by surging adrenaline. Now that the hormone faded, the weight of what they'd done crashed over them. Su Qian was the first to retch. She clung to the truck's frame, bending double and vomiting onto the snow. Zhou Ruodong's legs buckled, and she slumped onto the ground, barely able to hold herself upright. Zhao Mingyao clamped a hand over her mouth, fighting desperately not to throw up, yet hot tears streamed down her cheeks uncontrollably. Even the normally unflappable Shun Qingyi leaned against a wall for several minutes to steady her nerves after climbing down from the high platform. Only Lin Wire maintained a veneer of composure, though her calm was nothing more than a facade. Everyone reacts like this the first time they fight to defend themselves, Lin Wire stammered, forcing a steady tone. It'll pass once you get it out of your system. Just let it out. Su Qian lifted her head, her face streaked with tears and mucus. They were real people. We killed actual humans, not mutated monsters. They're human in body only, but far more despicable than any beast, Lin Han replied without turning around. His gaze never left the scarred raider, yet his voice carried clearly to every woman present. Mutated creatures hunt humans only to survive. These men robbed, hurt, and tormented others for their own cruel amusement. They don't deserve to be called people at all. He lifted the fire axe, tilting the scarred man's chin upward with the blade's edge. Now talk. What's your name? Where did you come from? How many raider gangs like yours operate in this region? How did you refit your train? What patterns govern the monster Black Tide? And how do you shield your camp from the Black Tide's attacks? He'd spared the scarred man solely to extract critical survival information. Judging by the gang's actions, they'd arrived in this frozen wasteland far earlier than his own group. He added one final sharp question before the man could speak. What is Outpost 7? After witnessing this brutal ambush, he strongly suspected the map they'd found was a trap, luring unsuspecting survivors straight to Outpost 7, undoubtedly home to another band of violent raiders. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. All the leaders' cocky bravado dissolved. Lin Han's ruthless efficiency, cleaving a man in two without hesitation, had terrified him completely. My name's Zhao Hu, nicknamed Scar Tiger. I'm part of the Blood Wolf gang. We came from Ash Station to the east. We originally had over 30 members, but half were swallowed. Another rival survivor group ambushed us afterward, leaving only the 8 of you who fought us today. Where is Ash Station? How far from here? Lin Han pressed, watching closely for any tell that the man was lying. East, 2 full days' travel along the rail lines. It's an abandoned platform that used to be a train repair yard. We renovated it into our base. Scar Tiger edged backward as he spoke, clearly plotting to bolt at the first opening. Lin Han slammed his boot down onto his shattered knee, drawing a fresh scream of agony. Quit squirming and keep talking. Why raid other survivor groups? In a world like this, shouldn't everyone band together to stay alive? Band together? There's no such thing as alliance in this frozen hell. At least 4 or 5 separate survivor factions roam this area, and none of them have good intentions. The Ice Lake Gang from the north kidnaps people to use as live bait to draw off monsters. The Miners' Brotherhood to the south loots supplies, seizes women, and hijacks trains, and the lunatics at Outpost 7. They're far crueler than we ever were. Outpost 7. Lin Han's brow shot up. This was the exact location circled in red on their map. Explain everything about Outpost 7. It's the only permanent outpost nearby capable of manufacturing ammunition and firearms. It was originally a military forward operating base, but a gang seized control of it. Their leader is Su Tianba, with at least 40 to 50 armed men. They operate two fully armored refitted trains stocked with light and heavy weaponry. We planned to circle wide around their territory and scavenge supplies at this station, but we ran straight into your group instead. What about the Black Tide? Have you figured out its cycles? The mention of the Black Tide drained all color from Scar Tiger's face, as if reliving a horrific memory. The Black Tide strikes in 3 separate waves. The first hits roughly 1 hour after a train docks at a station. It's the fastest wave, made up of small, swarming monsters. The second arrives 6 hours later, mostly mid-sized beasts. The third wave comes 24 hours after docking, and it's the deadliest of all, hordes of massive elite monsters charging in unison. Over 20 of our 30 original crew died when we couldn't leave before it hit. You can bind a train to a designated station. Once bound, you only need to depart temporarily to outrun the Black Tide, then return to the locked station afterward. Bound platforms are completely immune to being consumed by the tide. Didn't any of you know this? Scar Tiger spoke with stunned disbelief at the end, never imagining he would meet his end at the hands of such inexperienced newcomers. Lin Han committed every piece of intelligence to memory, then stood to tower over the kneeling raider. One last question. How did you refit your train? Your armor plating and mounted autocannons don't match standard system upgrade blueprints. We stole refitting schematics from a captured engineer survivor. Using monster cores, you can perform partial custom modifications directly on a train, without completing a full official tier upgrade blueprint. A flicker of desperate hope ignited in Scar Tiger's eyes as he rushed to finish speaking. I've told you everything I know. The schematics are still aboard our train, along with all our stockpiled supplies we looted from dozens of stations. Take all of it, every last crate. Spare my life, I beg you. Spare your life? Lin Han cut him off coldly. He'd never intended to let any of this gang live. It was clear they anchored their base to a secured station, then sent raiding parties out to rob, harm, and murder wandering survivors week after week. Their crimes were unforgivable. Scar Tiger's face paled further, picking up on Lin Han's unwavering intent to kill him. Earlier, you said you'd slay all male survivors and drag women back for your crew to mistreat, then toss their bodies to the monsters once you grew bored of them, correct? Now I'll deal with you exactly as you planned to deal with us. Enraged by the verdict, Scar Tiger lurched upward in a last-ditch attack. With no hope of mercy left, he would fight to the death. Watch out, the women shouted in unison, warning Lin Han of the incoming strike. Lin Han had anticipated the desperate ambush. Thanks to repeated core bonding boosts and survival aura buffs, his physical prowess dwarfed the crippled Scar Tiger by an enormous margin. He lifted the fire axe and brought it crashing down. The blade, cleaving through the raider's outstretched arm, severing it cleanly. A second swing struck Hynek, and his head rolled across the snow. Let's move to their train. Lin Han shook the blood from his axe blade, ignoring the severed head entirely, his gaze locking onto the Blood Wolf's armored locomotive. A gruesome painted blood-red wolf skull decorated its hull, yet the beast now had no master to command it. Lin Han led the 5 women aboard the unfamiliar train. Its carriages were far more spacious than the Tundra train. Steel racks welded to the walls held mountains of neatly stacked supplies. No fewer than 30 high-energy fuel canisters, military ration packs piling half a wall, bundled climbing rope, first aid kits, mechanical spare parts, and even a compact gasoline generator. How many innocent people did they rob to gather all this? Su Qian covered her mouth, her eyes still red and swollen. Though she'd stopped vomiting, her skin remained ashen, and Zhou Ruotong clung tightly to her arm for support. Don't dwell on it. Lin Han pulled her from her spiraling thoughts. He knew fixating on the gang's countless victims would only bury them under crippling guilt. In this frozen apocalypse, staying alive took priority over everything else. Inventory all supplies. Carry every usable resource back to our Tundra train. As he spoke, he strode toward the Blood Wolf's driver's cabin. Its control room was twice the size of his original trains, fitted with a far more complex array of levers, gauges, and screens. The moment Lin Han's palm touched the main control console, 2 voices echoed simultaneously inside his mind. The first was his system's notification chime. Detected unclaimed locomotive. Its designated conductor has perished. Consume this train to upgrade your Tundra train. Consumption rewards. Tundra train armor raised to Tier 3, full weapons system overhaul, plus 2 additional passenger carriages, massive cargo capacity expansion. The second was the cold, automated broadcast voice identical to the announcement system from their original train. Official rule announcement. Trains may consume other locomotives to advanced tier levels. 2 valid consumption methods exist. First, eliminate the opposing train's conductor to seize and absorb their vehicle. Second, secure voluntary submission from the rival conductor to consent to absorption. Upon successful consumption, the surrendered train's ID is permanently erased and merged into your own locomotive. This is possible. Lin Han blinked in surprise, then quickly grasped the full picture. No wonder Scar Tiger's gang laid ambushes at stations targeting other survivor trains. Stealing supplies was only a minor bonus. The true massive reward lay in absorbing rival locomotives to power their own upgrades. Without hesitation, Lin Han confirmed the consumption command. Consumption initiated, estimated completion time, 10 minutes. A faint pale blue stream of light stretched from the Tundra train, forming a glowing ribbon linking the two locomotives together. An invisible force wrapped around every carriage of the Blood Wolf's train, and a progress bar appeared on the control panel screen to track the absorption process. Once the bar hit 100%, the entire enemy train would dissolve into raw upgrade material for their own vehicle. What's happening? Shen Qingyi stepped inside the cabin after organizing the women to haul looted supplies back to their train, drawn by the low rumble shaking both locomotives. The other 4 women followed close behind, arriving just in time to see the glowing consumption progress bar displayed on the console. Train consumption upgrades. Locomotives can absorb one another to grow stronger? A flicker of shock crossed Shen Qingyi's face. She had never imagined such a core world mechanic existed. That means the rules of this wasteland actively encourage conflict between trains. Every conductor is both hunter and prey. Exactly, Lin Han nodded. At that instant, a loud metallic scraping sound echoed from the far end of the carriage corridor, like heavy iron chains dragging across metal flooring. Every person on board froze mid-motion. There's someone else here. Shen Qingyi raised her frost hunting crossbow instantly, aiming the loaded bolt down the empty hallway. Lin Wire activated her defensive aura skill, a shimmering golden circle spreading outward from beneath her feet. Lin Han gripped his bloodied fire axe and took point, leading the group forward. The corridor was short, terminating at a windowless iron door secured by a heavy padlock. Lin Han smashed the lock apart with a single blow from his axe's back. He kicked the door fully open, shining a flashlight beam into the small room beyond. And everyone fell silent, stunned by what they saw. Behind the door sat a cramped windowless cell with no bed or furniture. Only a thick iron chain ran from a weld point on the wall to a manacle clamped around a woman's ankle. She huddled in the far corner, clad in a torn, heavily damaged cold-proof suit covered in bruises and fresh lacerations across her face and arms. Her matted, messy hair obscured most of her features, yet the small portion visible revealed extraordinary natural beauty. Her skin was pale and fair, her frame gaunt from starvation and mistreatment. She flinched violently at the sound of the door crashing open, shrinking further back into the corner. "Don't come near me. I handed over everything I owned, even my train. Please spare me." Lin Han set the fire axe gently on the floor and held up empty palms to signal he meant no harm. "You're safe now. Every single man who imprisoned you is dead." The woman's trembling body stilled for a split second. She slowly lifted her head, peering through strands of tangled hair to study Lin Han's face, weighing whether his words were truth or another cruel trick. Lin Han got a clear look at her features, letting out a quiet gasp of amazement. He had never seen such breathtaking beauty in this desolate frozen world. What does she look like? The women behind him grew curious at his shocked tone, crowding forward for a clear view. "She really is stunning," Shen Qingyi murmured, stepping closer to examine the captive woman. Her beauty was almost otherworldly, unmarred even by layers of grime and fresh wounds. Her facial proportions were flawlessly balanced, with enormous wide eyes framed by thick curled lashes, a straight refined nose, and soft full lips. The most striking detail was her natural pale lavender hair, not dyed, a rare innate shade guaranteed to draw stares in any normal world. "My name is Xia Kursin." The woman spoke weakly as the group surrounded her. "Did you kill Xiaohu?" "Yes." Lin Han pulled an intact, clean cold-proof suit from his storage space and knelt to hand it to her. "Every last member of his gang has been eliminated, no survivors left." Xia Kursin accepted the insulated suit, her body still trembling uncontrollably. She stared at Lin Han's face for a long moment before clutching the garment tightly to her chest, as if verifying this freedom was not a cruel hallucination. "I am the former conductor of the Hashia Electric Type 3C locomotive," she said at last, her voice still shaking with lingering terror.